A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Autolite and its 60,000 dealers and service stations present Suspense.
Tonight, Autolite brings you James Stewart in Consequence, a suspense play produced and directed by Anton M. Leader.
Friends, while the wife is spring cleaning the house, how about spring cleaning your car? Give your motor new spring pep by replacing those worn-out narrow-gap spark plugs with a set of revolutionary new wide-gap Autolite resistor spark plugs.
Your motor will idle smoother.
Yup, and give better performance on leaner gas mixtures.
Yes, sirree, actually save gas.
What's more, Autolite resistor spark plugs with the exclusive Autolite resistor cut down on radio and television interference. So, folks, see your Autolite dealer and have him replace old, worn-out, narrow-gap spark plugs with a set of the sensational new Autolite resistor spark plugs.
Remember,
you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite presents James Stewart in a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Maybe the costume was the decisive factor, or maybe it would have happened anyway. In any event, the occasion was the 10th reunion, and the class of 29, as such occasions demand, they were all dressed identically in cowboy suits. And there was Ted Wolfe, whom I hadn't seen in 10 years, although in college he'd been by far my closest friend. And so, of course, I brought him home to dinner. And Gwen managed to be quite charming, even though it was the maid's night out. She didn't even kick about the oven. And that's how it started out, just like that. Just like any pleasant, casual little evening.
Oh, Gwen, that was a wonderful meal. Last one I'll get like that for a while.
Thank you, sir.
Have you really got to go tonight, Ted? Can't you take a day or so?
Oh, not very well. I got my plane reservations and everything. Anyway, I told him I'd be back this week, and tonight's just about the deadline if I'm going to make it.
Well, what time's your plane?
3 a.m. Say, that reminds me, I can't go aboard in this thing.
Oh, you probably will. I think you're both kind of stuck on yourselves in those cowboy outfits. And a couple of kids.
Oh, I'm going to wear mine to the hospital tomorrow.
Oh, fine. No kidding, though. People will think I'm nuts.
All right. Spoil sport. Now, we'll call the hotel later, have them bring your bags over, and you can change here. Although I would think a cowboy suit would be a sensation in Ecuador.
Ted, are you really going to Ecuador? Mm-hmm. First, I thought it must be a joke.
No, you've heard me talk about the work Ted's doing there.
I know, but Ecuador.
Well, they've got to have medical care out on those plantations some way, and I like it.
I don't see how you stand it. Living like a hermit, cut off from civilization, not making... Well, I mean, they can't possibly pay you what's...
No, Gwen.
What time is... Oh, my goodness, I've got to run.
Are you leaving us, Gwen?
I promised Mother I'd come out to the country tonight. Anyway, I know you two would much rather talk over old times by yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, guess I don't see you again. Thanks for everything. It's been swell.
Well, you're coming back sometime, aren't you?
Oh, maybe 5 years, maybe 10, maybe never.
Silly. You come back next year and plan to stay for a while.
Oh, thank you.
I am sorry I have to go, but you two have a nice evening. There are eggs in the icebox, Phil.
Okay.
Did he always have to have fried eggs at night when he was in college, Ted?
Yeah, that's Phil, all right.
Good night, darling. Don't bother coming to the door now. I'll phone you tomorrow night.
Bye, Gwen.
Have a good trip, Ted. Bye.
Goodbye. You're a lucky man, Phil.
Am I?
Well, I suppose you know that the main reason I came to this shindig at all was to see you.
So why me? No, it's been a long time since you and I had the same dreams, Ted.
You haven't lost them, though. You're still in there pitching.
Oh, sure. Yes. Private practice, 2 cars in the garage, 2 chickens in the pot. That's the kind of ball I've been pitching for the last 10 years. And it's the kind I'll keep on pitching until some other doc says coronary thrombosis and they carry me out.
Oh, you can't kid me, Phil. You're happy. I'd just about given up the idea that there was such a thing as a happy man.
And now you think you've found one?
Oh, I know I have. I knew it the minute I came into this room. I knew it the minute I saw her.
Gwen?
Yeah, Gwen.
I hate Gwen.
Phil.
And what's more, she hates me. Oh, it's nothing that shows on the surface. We get along because we have to, because my reputation would suffer if we didn't.
Phil, you can't be serious.
No? Well, why do you think I've given up every dream I've ever had? Why do you think I spend my life treating the imaginary ills of a lot of wealthy hypochondriacs? So Gwen can have this and Gwen can do that. So Gwen can satisfy every greedy instinct and every petty, rotten ambition that any woman ever had.
Lord, I never realized.
Well, that's it.
You've got to do something about it, Phil. You've got to get out. Got to go to another city, go to another country.
Yeah. She'd be after me like a hawk. She'd have me up before the medical association. Oh, there are 1,000 things she could do and would do. Oh, I've thought of it every way there is. It's no use. So, it's off my chest. Now you know. And I'm sorry I disillusioned you. Excuse me. Dr. Martin? Oh, well, now? Right. I'll be right down.
You're not going out now. I want to talk to you.
No, well, I'm still a doctor. Even Gwen can't stop that. And I'll be back before you leave, though. If you want to stick around. I'd so like to ride out the airport with you.
Was the call really important, Phil?
Yeah, now make yourself at home. Fix yourself anything you want in the kitchen. Only look out for the oven. It leaks when you turn it off just right. And I won't be long.
Okay. I'll wait, Doctor.
Thanks, Doctor. I kind of hoped you would, Ted. That was the second thing. Ted's deciding to stay, but I didn't know it then. All I knew was that Jo had called me from the office and she was upset. Still, I decided to walk. I was upset, too. When I got there, she was going over the accounts. Hello, darling.
Hello. That was nice.
Well, isn't it always?
Always terribly.
Well, what are you doing? Now, there isn't all that rush to get the bills out.
There is, though. For me.
For you?
Uh-huh.
Well, what is it, Jo? What's the matter?
Phil, I had a talk with Father this evening.
Well, something about us?
All about us.
Well, he doesn't know anything. He couldn't. Nobody, unless you told him.
You know I wouldn't do that, Phil.
I'm sorry, darling. I know.
Anyway, it isn't what he knows. It's what he thinks. We had an awful row. He said he'd go to the trustees of the hospital. He said he'd go to Gwen.
He said that?
That's why I'm getting the bills out for you now. Because I'm going away.
But you're going where? Well, how long?
No, darling, it's not going to be like that. It's for good.
Jo,
It's for good, Phil.
Well, Jo, I can't let you go. I know it hasn't been perfect, but I know it's been infinitely worse for you than for me, but at least we've had something. At least I've always known where you are, that you're here on the other side of the door, and I could see you and talk to you.
I can't live with a door between us anymore.
Well, maybe you just don't love me enough to... No, darling, I don't mean that.
Phil, I'm not playing noble. This had to happen someday, and it has. And that's all.
I could go with you.
You couldn't do that, Phil.
Well, why not? I could change my name. We could go to another city, even another country. I could get back to research. I could...
Oh, darling. It's no go, Phil.
I asked her for a divorce again this morning.
You don't have to tell me the answer. There is no answer for us, Phil. Not one that we can take. And there we are.
Yeah, there we are.
You'd better go now. I've got all this to do.
Oh, let me help you.
No.
Well, why not?
I could weaken. And then where would we be?
Oh, Joe.
No, Phil, please go.
Joe.
Please. Please, please.
All right. I'll go. I don't know how long I walked that night or where. Perhaps most men are weak and never know it. But when you're losing the woman you think you love, that's when you'll find out. That's when you'll see yourself at last in the pitiless glare of all your poor, frightened, childish helplessness. And I walked along, and I was sick to the depths of my soul. And I walked some more. Somewhere in the distance I heard a siren, and there was a glow against the sky, a fire. And then I realized I was near my home, and then it wasn't just a glow against the sky of any fire, it was my own house. It burned almost to the ground.
This is terrible. How did it happen? Somebody said they think it was the gas stove.
Stunned and confused, I began edging through the crowd, and then there was a sudden stillness, and a few men took off their hats, and then I saw it. A stretcher, and the blanket thrown over the shapeless form, and the blackened, shriveled cowboy boot. And I remembered. Ted had been in that house.
They just got him out now.
Yeah, what's left of him. They say you wouldn't hardly know it was a man.
Frantically, I started forward, and then I stopped, because I thought somebody had spoken to me, but they hadn't. They weren't looking at me. They were looking at the ground and the stretcher, and that thing that lay there on it.
Dr. Philip Martin.
Yeah, I knew him. He was a good man.
Oh, poor Dr. Martin. What an awful way to die.
Suddenly I was shaking with excitement. I pulled my hat down over my eyes. I turned up my collar, and I moved carefully back through the crowd, out into the street, and I turned the corner, and then I ran. Joe! Joe, I'm going with you.
Phil, you haven't...
Joe, it's all right. It's all right, Joe. I'll tell you later. But we're free, Joe. We're free. I'm dead. I mean, Dr. Philip Martin. He's dead.
For Suspense, Autolite is bringing you James Stewart in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Heard you go to burglar at your house last night.
I sure did, Hap. There was this man sneaking around my garage. I said, look here, mister. You want to replace your old narrow gap spark plugs with the sensational new wide gap Autolite resistor spark plugs. Why, those wide gap Autolite resistor spark plugs will make your engine idle smoother, give you better performance on leaner gas mixtures, actually save gas.
So what did he say?
Well, holding him firmly with my thumb between his teeth, I said the newly developed exclusive 10,000-ohm Autolite resistor, found in no other automotive-type spark plug, increases electrode life 200% and more.
You said all that to a burglar?
Mm-hmm. And then, throwing him heavily to the ground on top of me, I said, try it yourself. See your Autolite dealer and replace those old narrow-gap spark plugs with wide-gap Autolite resistor spark plugs. Your motor will idle smoother, give you better performance on leaner gas mixtures. Actually save you gas.
Then what?
Oh, he said he'd stood all he could, and he started yelling for the cops.
Oh, and I think I'll start yelling for Suspense.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage James Stewart as Phil in Consequence, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
There must be something of the criminal in every man, because it seemed that I knew automatically everything I would have to do and how I was going to do it.
Hotel Wilton.
Dr. Wolf, please. Dr. Theodore Wolf.
Thank you. I'm sorry, sir. Dr. Wolf doesn't answer.
Oh, well, Say, what's the number of his room again? I want to drop him a note.
Dr. Wolf is in 502.
502. Thank you very much. I knew in a big hotel like that, the chances of anyone remembering exactly what Ted had looked like were pretty slim. And I figured they'd give me the key all right, as long as I didn't have to stumble around asking for the number. I let myself into 502 and snapped on the light. I found the plane tickets on the bureau. Then I pried open his luggage and changed into one of his suits. Put on his hat and overcoat, just in case. Packed my own things away. There was a pair of dark glasses on the bureau, too. I put them on. Then I went downstairs, checked out, paying cash. I knew he'd bought the plane tickets to the airport and that the travel clerk in the hotel wouldn't know Ted Wolf from Adam.
Yes, sir?
I'm Dr. Wolf. I've been staying here at the hotel.
Oh, yes, Doctor.
I have a through plane ticket here to Ecuador, Pan American, for tonight. I want to turn it in.
Oh, one moment, sir. That's Dr.
Theodore Wolf.
Pan American? Wilson Hotel. Got a through ticket to Ecuador. Dr. Wolf. Will you take it? Thank you. All right. That will be quite all right, Dr. Wolf.
And while we're at it, you might as well give me a couple of train tickets.
Yes, sir. Where to?
Huh?
I said where to, sir.
Wait. Los Angeles. We'd taken care of everything. A note to my bank, supposedly from Ted, enclosing Philip Martin's check for $5,000. And a letter in my own handwriting explaining that I'd agreed to lend him that amount. And asking the bank to forward the money to my account in Los Angeles. My account as Ted Wolf. And we drafted a letter to the people in Ecuador. And in Los Angeles, Joe became Mrs. Ted Wolf. And at first, everything clicked. I got the kind of a job a doctor dreams about, where I could write my own ticket and spend at least half my time entirely on research. And Joe started taking courses for a medical degree. After all, she was only 24. And then, right there, right in broad daylight in the hospital, it happened.
Hello?
Joe, pack a bag as quick as you can, just enough for 2 or 3 days in the mountains. Now, just as fast as you can.
Phil?
It's Gwen. I saw her just now upstairs in the reception room.
Gwen? Are you sure? Absolutely sure? Couldn't it be just a coincidence, Phil? I mean, couldn't Gwen maybe just have happened?
Maybe. Listen, Joe, I've been thinking.
She mustn't know where we go.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe it would be better if she did know where we were going.
If she did know?
I don't know. It may just be a coincidence. But if it is a showdown, the mountains is a better place than most.
All right.
I'll phone the landlady.
Is that safe?
Yeah, Gwen won't talk, not until she's sure.
Carlton Apartments, Mrs. Burton.
Hello, Miss Burton. This is Dr. Wolf. I wonder if you'd do me a favor.
Why, I'd be glad to, Dr. Wolf.
We're going out of town for a couple of days, and I just remembered some friends said they might stop by, and I thought they might like to join us, so I wanted them to know where we were.
All right, sir.
Now, maybe you could just stick a note in our door where they'll see it. We're going to Caribou Lake, and we'll be in the cottage at the very top of the mountain. It's right straight up a dirt road from the lake. They can't miss it.
Caribou Lake, the cottage at the top of the mountain, up the dirt road from the lake. Is that all?
Yes, thank you, Miss Burton. That's all. Thank you. Caribou Lake is nothing more than a general store where you can buy bait and hire boats and cottages. That time of year, there's hardly anybody there except the people who own the store. And the cottage we had was a good 3 miles away up a twisting dirt road running above the lake. You could see it very plain, even at night when the lights are on. We stopped in the store. We both went in to buy what we needed: food, kerosene, matches, things like that. Then we went on up the mountain. By that time, it was almost dark, and Joe fixed something to eat, but neither of us could touch it. We were watching the road for lights of a car. It was about 8:30 when we saw them. And they went on past the store without stopping and came on up the mountain. It couldn't have been anyone else but Gwen.
Well?
Well, she didn't waste any time.
What if the car is rented?
No, she'd bring her own. She loves to drive.
Phil, you're not afraid, are you?
No. No, not anymore. I'll go.
Well, this is a surprise.
Hello, Gwen.
Dr. Martin, always poised. Nothing surprises you, does it?
I suppose it was the check.
Partly. Then I happened to notice that a Dr. Theodore Wolfe had married a Miss Josephine Reynolds in Los Angeles. It did occur to me that your idealistic friend must have been an awfully fast worker. Well, aren't you and your bride going to ask me in?
Come in, Mrs. Martin.
Thank you. Quite cozy, aren't you?
We have been.
Well, I'm sorry to break up your little...
All right, cut it out, Gwen. Now, what do you want?
Why, my dear man, what do you think I want?
The way things are now, you've got $200,000 worth of life insurance coming to you. Why don't you let us alone?
Philip, I don't know whether you realize how much worry and anguish you've caused me.
Sure, I know. I know just exactly how much.
And perhaps you also know exactly how you stand with the law in this matter. I don't know about all this impersonation business, except it would permanently ruin your career. But I do know that the laws covering bigamy are quite drastic.
Yeah, I used to think that money meant everything to you, Gwen, but I guess it doesn't, does it?
I certainly don't feel called upon to accept rebukes from you, Philip, for anything. Not after what you've done. I feel that I'm being most generous to both of you.
All right, now, just what exactly do you want, Gwen?
Either you come back and we'll explain the whole thing as amnesia or something, or you both go to jail.
How could you shut
now,
up?
Listen. Just a minute. Now, listen, Gwen. Does anybody else know about this?
Of course not.
Nobody knows you came out here, or why?
After all, Philip, I do have some pride left. Just that I was taking a little trip to New York to forget.
New York, huh? All right, Gwen. Just give us a couple of minutes to talk this thing over, will you? Alone?
Very well. Although I don't see there's very much to talk about.
Will you go outside, or shall we?
I'll go. I'll wait in the car.
Oh, Phil.
It's all right, Joe. I don't mind now.
Neither do I.
Do you think you can do it?
Me?
I'll have to have an alibi.
Have you thought?
I've thought about it. I've thought about it all day. And it's all right. It's good. She'll disappear the same way I did.
A fire?
Yeah. Only I'll have to be down at the store when it happens. This place will go up like kindling. And when they pull her out, they'll think it's you. Nobody knows she's up here. And I'll be there to say it is you.
How are you going to...
I've got it all fixed in the cellar. All you have to do is here. Use this hatchet. Can you?
Yes. I will.
Then go out to the car and get on the floor of the back seat, under the blanket, lock it from the inside. I'll probably get away right afterwards.
All right, Phil.
I'll see you in the car, and the whole thing shouldn't take more than a couple of hours.
Phil, you're not afraid?
Are you?
No. I'm glad.
Gwen?
Yes?
Come on in.
Have you decided?
Yes. Well, you might as well eat with us. There'll be quite a few details to talk over.
I'm not sure I feel much like eating in this house, Philip.
Yes, well, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to start back hungry. Give me the keys to your car, will you? It's blocking mine, and I'll go down the hill and get a few things for dinner.
Really,
Philip?
will
you please stop griping? Now, you've won. Now, give me the keys.
Very well. But I wouldn't try any mad dashes if I were you.
Oh, well, don't be a fool, Gwen.
No, I don't suppose you would. Alone?
She went in. I took the keys, but first I went around back, down the cellar. I put a lot of old newspapers around the wood pile and doused the whole thing with kerosene. And then I cut a stub of plumber's candle and set it on the papers and lit it. I knew just about how long it'd take the candle to burn down, about 45 minutes. Then I went out and I got in Gwen's car and I started on the mountain without lights. At the drop above the lake, I put it in low and I cramped the wheels and I jumped out. About 40 feet of water. Unless somebody told them where to look, they'd never find the car. Now, all that hadn't taken more than 15 minutes. The walk down to the store took about 20 more.
Well, you get something, Dr. Wolf?
Yeah, like a fool. I forgot my tobacco. I can't get through the night without a pipe.
Know just how it is. Walk down?
Yeah, working up an appetite, you know.
There you are. You folks have callers tonight?
No. Why?
I thought I saw a car go up your way a while back.
Oh, I saw the lights, but they didn't come up. Somebody must have made the wrong turn. No, didn't they come back?
Oh, I don't know. I was out for a spell. You see that car come back by, Daisy?
Well, you must have seen it all right. It was about an hour ago.
Seems like I did hear a car about that.
Sure, that was it.
Yep, pretty sure I did.
Mrs. Dooley don't always see so good, but she hears plenty. Fair, Ma?
Pa, looky here.
Huh?
Pa, look it up there. Looks like a fire.
Say, it is. It is a fire. Golly, Doc, that looks like your place.
Oh, it couldn't be. But it must be.
Big, too. We better get up there, too.
Do you have your car?
We'll go in the truck. It's right outside. The boys can bring Ma along in the car. You hear that, Ma?
Yeah. Len.
Come on,
Johnny,
Doc.
get on.
I sure hope everything's all right.
Yeah, so do I. The cottage was all wood and dry, and it was completely gone by the time we got there. It was the boys who dragged her out of the embers.
I wouldn't look if I was you, Doctor.
Oh, must have been quick anyway. She's burnt almost to nothing.
You better go on, Doc. We'll take charge of everything.
All right.
Do you want one of the boys to go with you?
No. I'll get in touch with you from town. I'll make the arrangements down there, and I'll send down for
Sure. You go on. We'll see to everything.
All right.
Oh, I'm awful sorry, Dr. Wolf.
I climbed into the car and I started down the mountain. When I was around the first bend, I pulled up and stopped. I reached over with one hand and touched the blanket on the floor behind me. Are you all right, Joe?
Yes, Philip. I'm quite all right.
Gwen. Gwen has never told me how it happened. But of course she killed Joe. We both killed her. And now I know that I'm trapped. I'm hopelessly, irrevocably trapped by the terrible burden of guilt we share between us, as she is. I know now that two people held together by such a frightful bond cannot both go on living. For that bond can be broken in only one way. One of the two must die. And so I write this and place it in the hands of my attorney for safekeeping in order that the true facts be brought to light in the event of such a death. For no matter how innocent it may appear, no matter how natural the cause, how plausible the accident, it will be no accident. It will be murder. Cold-blooded, calculated, deliberate murder.
And now, the local news. Dr. Philip Martin, who has been in poor health for the past 3 months while recovering from an attack of amnesia, died today in his home from an overdose of sleeping sedative. He is survived by his widow, Mrs. Gwen Martin. Thank you, James Stewart, for a splendid performance.
What a performance, Arlo.
Yes, Hap, it's like the performance you get when you replace old narrow-gap spark plugs with wide-gap Autolite resistor spark plugs.
They make an engine idle smoother.
Give better performance on leaner gas mixtures.
Actually save on gas.
Because Autolite resistor spark plugs are ignition engineered.
That's right, by Autolite.
The makers of over 400 products for cars, trucks, airplanes, boats in 28 Autolite plants from coast to coast.
Yes, sirree. And Autolite also makes complete electrical systems for many makes of America's finest cars.
Batteries,
Spark plugs,
generators,
starting motors,
coils,
distributors.
All engineered to fit together perfectly, work together perfectly, because they're a perfect team.
The lifeline of your car.
So, folks, don't accept electrical parts that are supposed to be as good. Ask for and insist on Autolite original factory parts at your neighborhood service station, car dealer, garage, or repair shop. Remember, you're always right with Autolite.
And now here again is Mr. James Stewart.
Well, I want to thank Tony Litter and his great cast of actors for making my suspense visit so pleasant. I'm a great Suspense fan, and like all of you, I'm looking forward to next week's show when Frederick March appears in Cornell Woolrich's story, The Night Reveals, another gripping study in
Suspense.
James Stewart can currently be seen starred in the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer production, The Stratton Story. Tonight's suspense play was adapted for radio by Robert Richards from an original story by Vladimir Posner and George Sklar, with music composed by Lucien Morawek and conducted by Leith Stevens. The entire production was under the direction of Anton M. Leader. Next Thursday, same time, hear Frederick March in The Night Reveals.
You can buy Autolite resistor spark plugs, Autolite stateful batteries, Autolite electrical parts at your neighborhood Autolite dealers. Switch to Autolite. Good night.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Ironized Yeast presents Lights Out. Everybody.
It is later than you think.
Lights Out brings you stories of the supernatural and the supernormal, dramatizing the fantasies and the mysteries of the unknown. We tell you this frankly, so if you wish to avoid the excitement and tension of these imaginative plays, we urge you calmly but sincerely to turn off your radio now.
My name, Arch Oboler. Tonight, another in our series of tales of the weird and the unusual. The idea for today's play, the story of Mr. Maggs, came to me a few years ago when I was in England, pre-war England. Calm, peaceful, serene, no enemy bombers overhead, no screaming sirens, and England happily without worry. But before we start, Frank Martin has a word for you.
Friends, these critical times are making terrific extra demands on all of us. But if you've gotten miserably thin and tired and run down, don't necessarily blame the war or your job. It's quite possible you simply need more vitamin B and iron than you're getting from your food. Well, if you do need more of these vital substances, get them a quick, easy way. Take ironized yeast tablets. They help two ways in cases of such deficiencies. Help two ways to build you up. Help two ways to increase weight and strength. Help two ways to step up pep and energy. Remember that name, Ironized Yeast Tablets. And now,
Lights Out. Everybody.
All right, gentlemen. Now, here's an opportunity you can't afford to miss. As the Americans say, an opportunity of a lifetime. In auctioning off these effects of various deceased members of the community, I assure you that no single piece has more pretentious value than this genuine oaken traveling trunk. As you see, gentlemen, it's bound in brass and locked tight and secure with a massive, genuine brass lock. What's in it? Nobody knows. But the law says that being unclaimed, strange merchandise, whoever buys it gets it all, as you might say, with all that's in it. Be it gold or silver plate or the jewels of India. Now, what am I offered for this chest? Make your bids and make them good, gentlemen. Do I hear someone say 10 pounds?
5 shillings.
Now, gentlemen, look at it. Locked tight. And nobody knows what's inside. A fortune waiting here. And somebody talks of 5 shillings. Now, come, let's on with it. What am I offered?
5 and 6.
Oh, gentlemen, for firewood alone.
I offer 6.
6.
6 and 6. 7.
Well, gentlemen, it appears we're having a competition in little numbers. Is there anybody here would like to raise a bid and aid me?
7 and 6. 8.
Gentlemen, I ask you, ain't there anybody here what's heard what I said about this chest being locked and sealed? Oh, let it go. It's the last thing I've got to auction. So let it go, we'll all go home. Go into the little gentleman right down there for 8 shillings even. Do you hear any more? Sold. Step right up here, sir, and claim your purchase. Now, what might your name be for the record?
Name? My name is Maggs. Yes, Harold Maggs.
And the money, Mr. Maggs?
Oh, yes, sir. My pocketbook got it all ready. 8 shillings, sir. Here you are.
Right you are. You understand, of course, the cartage is extra.
Oh? Oh, is it?
Right you are. Now, where will I send the chest?
But I don't know. I mean, extra charges.
Where will I send it?
92 Applegate Southwest 3.
Right you are.
Is that all?
That's all. The chest is yours. You'll get it in the morning.
In the morning? But I'll be at work in the morning.
Your old woman will be home, won't she?
Oh, yes, but she doesn't
in
know
the
anything
morning,
about...
they'll deliver it, and in the morning you'll get it. Good night to you.
Oh, good night, and thank you. Thank you.
Thanking me, huh? If you knew what I know of that trunk, you wouldn't be thanking me. You'd curse me to the devil.
Yes, Agatha?
Well, I must say it's a fine time for a man to be getting home.
Mr. Bainbridge asked me to stay and check the inventory.
Never mind what Mr. Bainbridge said. Did you get anything extra for doing what Mr. Bainbridge said?
Well, I...
Never mind what he said. I tell you what you get from me. A cold supper, that's what.
Oh, it's all right.
Oh, is it? Now, just a minute, Mr. Harold Maggs. There's something else I want to talk to you about.
Yes, Agatha?
How much money have you been making on the races?
Races? Me?
You.
Oh, no, you know I never play the horses.
And how much money did that rich uncle of yours in Australia leave you?
Australia? Me? Why, Agatha, what are you talking about? I haven't got any uncles in Australia.
Oh, then maybe it's a gold mine you discovered. Or maybe a well that gives 100 gallons of petrol a minute.
Agatha, are you all right?
The chest.
Oh.
Why did you buy it?
Well,
They didn't give it to you, did they?
It was only 8 shillings, and I...
Only 8 shillings? You mean to stand there and tell me you spent 8 whole God-given shillings for that thing?
Yes.
Harold Meggs, I ought to...
Agatha, what's that?
Never you mind what that is.
Up in the garret.
Yes, up in the garret. Where that great prize of yours is. Up in the garret where you should be until your head's examined.
But, Agatha, what...
It's Freddie, breaking the thing open to see what's inside.
Breaking it open?
Yes, and I told him to do it. Freddie, have you opened it yet?
Not yet, Mom.
Oh, Agatha, please, I don't want him to...
Oh, keep quiet. I know you haven't got a key to it. But Raymond told me all about this prize package, the did.
Oh, but...
Plunked it right down in the middle of the kitchen floor. And poor Freddie and I had to carry it all the way upstairs.
Oh, but Agatha...
Oh, we'll find out what's in it soon enough.
Oh, no, please, you shouldn't break the lock. It's a good one. Maybe I could pick it. I'll go up there.
No, Harold, come back here. Let Freddie do what I told him to. Harold, come back here this minute. Harold, you regret this, making me climb these stairs. Harold, do you hear me?
Mom, make him stop.
Harold, what'll come over you?
He won't smash my chest. He won't.
Well, Mom said I could. She did. She said I could.
Dare you strike that boy?
Oh, I didn't.
Well, you thought about it. He may not be your flesh and blood, Harold Meggs, but he's mine.
He's a big lout, 30 years old.
Mom, he called me
I
a
heard
big lout again.
Quite enough. Harold Meggs, Give me that hammer.
Yes, Agatha.
I'll fix your precious chest, your precious lock.
That's right, Mum. Show him. Show him. Oh, a good one, Mum. You smashed it.
Oh, it was a good padlock.
You keep quiet. Buy a cat in the poke, will you?
Get him, Mum.
Well, now we'll see your grand bargain. Help me lift the lid, Freddie.
Sure thing, Mum.
We'll see what you wasted my good money.
Mum. Why, it's empty.
Empty. Harold Maggs, you wretch, you. Taking the bread out of the mouths of your good wife and your son to buy empty trunks.
Wait, Agatha.
Wait for what? For what?
It's not empty.
What are you talking about?
See? The whole inside crusted with dried blood.
Harold, wake up. Wake up. Open your eyes, you stupid fool.
What?
Wake up, I say.
It's not morning.
No, of course not. Open your eyes.
Oh.
I heard something.
Well, what did you hear?
Can't you hear anymore? I said there's someone in the house.
What do you mean?
Listen.
I don't hear anything.
Don't talk, listen. You heard?
Yes.
Up in the garret.
Oh.
Get up and do something.
Well, what could I
Well, you're not going to let them steal the house away from us. There, again.
But why in the garret?
Are you going to lie there talking while they...
But we've nothing there for anyone to take that. It's Freddie.
Freddie? What the...
Come on.
No, not up there.
Well, I'm going.
Harold, come back and don't leave me alone to be murdered. Harold, don't go up there. Harold, I'm frightened.
Agatha, come up here quickly.
No, I'm afraid.
Agatha, quickly.
All right. I'm more afraid down here than I'll be up there. Can't be much to be afraid of. If you're not afraid, Harold. So dark up here. Well, Harold, what is it?
Agatha, come here. Help me.
Well, what is it? What's the matter with you? What?
It's your Freddie.
Freddie? Oh!
The lid of the chest seems to be closed on his head, and I can't seem to open it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think you'll agree when an old chest becomes a thing of horrible death, and when there is more of death in the air, then's the time to leave tonight's Lights Out for a deep breath, and a turning of our thoughts to something that perhaps is your problem. Now, back to Lights Out, and our story of Mr. Maggs. The son of the house lies dead, crushed by the object Mr. Maggs had bought at the auction, an old chest.
Agatha, it's no use going on like that. There's nothing we can do for him. I knew you loved the boy. Guess he's the only thing you ever loved in all your life.
Oh, do something, you worm, you.
What is there to do? Storm's so bad, just have to wait until morning, that's all.
If you hadn't bought that infernal chest.
If I hadn't bought it.
Murdered him, you did. You hated him for the memory of my first husband.
No, I wouldn't say that, Agatha.
Why not? You bought the chest, so it's your doing.
Well, in a way, you're right. I brought the evil into the house, now didn't I?
What are you talking about?
An unhappy house, and now there's evil in it.
What are you saying?
Since we came downstairs, all these hours since it happened, I've been thinking.
Thinking what?
How do you think Freddie died? And why?
You crazy? Asking me if I know how he died? I saw it, didn't I?
But I asked you, why did he die?
Why? Why? Because the infernal lid of it fell on his head, that's why. Oh, my Freddie.
Yes. The evil did it.
Evil. You are crazy. The only thing evil was your buying it.
You just don't understand, do you, Agatha?
What are you looking at me like that for? I tell you the lid fell down on his head.
Evil.
Evil. Stop trying to make me as crazy as you are. Come on back up there and help me carry my son down so I can stretch him out decent and respectful for when the undertaker comes.
No, Agatha.
What?
I've made up my mind. I won't go up there again.
Oh, yes, you will. He'll lie dead in a bed, my son. Not up there.
No, Agatha, I've made up my mind. I figured out that up in the garret the evil has taken...
Evil be blasted. My son. You'll help me carry him down. Don't stand there. Don't stand there. Storm's over. Help me carry down his body so I can lay it out decent.
No, Agatha. No, hear me out. It's evil.
I'll have you locked away, I tell you.
Evil, and I knew somehow that it was there. That's why I dragged you downstairs again so quickly. You never thought much of me, Aggie, but this time, believe me, if I go up there with you, it means my life.
I've listened to enough. A split-headed little worm, that's what you are. There's nothing up there but that blasted chest you bought and Freddie's body. And if you won't help me bring him down, then, curse you, I'll bring him down myself.
No, Agatha, come back. Aggie, come back. Agatha, I beg you. Aggie! Aggie, you shouldn't have. This once in all these years, you should have listened to me. If you'd have listened this time, I would have meant something more than... Agatha? Agatha, what's doing up there? Are you all right? Agatha, do you hear me? You all right? What in the...
Harold, help me!
Agatha, what? Agatha, what? What happened? What's the matter? Oh, Agatha, heaven help me. I can't come up to you. I'm afraid. Agatha, that's another hour. It's hard waiting, Agatha. I've got to keep so quiet. I've got to listen. Perhaps you'll say something. Call me again. I've got to know what happened. Man can go crazy not knowing what happened. I'll keep very quiet. Perhaps I'll hear you saying something up there. Agatha? Wind. I hear nothing but the wind, Agatha. I'm afraid to move out of this chair, Agatha. As afraid as I've ever been in all my life. And that's been many times, Agatha. Something safe about this chair. It's my chair. I've sat in it so many times it knows me. And while I'm in it, nothing can happen to me. Now, can it? But if I were to get up, leave it, walk toward the door. No, I won't do that. I'll sit here and wait in the chair. And when it's daylight again... Agatha, is that you? I heard you again. Agatha? Agatha? Agatha, why don't you answer me? I hear you moving around. Why don't you answer me? Agatha! Agatha, isn't it you? Sounds as if a heavy chest were being moved along to the head of the stairs. No, nothing more. So quiet. Coming down the steps. Coming down. Agatha, is that you? You bringing the chest down? Agatha, is it you? No, it couldn't be you, could it, Agatha? And who is bringing it down? Who is it? Answer me. Answer me! Got to get out of here. Run. But I can't. I can't. Too afraid. Who is it? Agatha, it is you, isn't it? It must be you. It must be. Not many more steps, then I'll see. No, I won't look. I won't. Stop, you, whoever you are. Don't bring that chest down here. Stop! Stop! Stopped. No further. Stopped. I won't have to see. I won't have to see. Oh, no. So close, bottom of the stairs. I'll see. What? Oh, if I could close my eyes. Only one more step. I know it. Ah! No. How could it be? No one. Just the chest. No one with it. How can that be? No one. How could a trunk come down the stairs, one at a time, alone? Daylight. Why doesn't daylight come? There's something buzzing in my head. Oh, my head. Why do I sit here staring at that thing of evil? I've got to know. Yes, I've got to know. Get up. Close to it. Just a chest. Why should I be afraid of it? Just a chest. Put my hand on it. Moved under my hand. Thing of evil, I'll get you. You won't get me, I'll get you. My axe. Where's my axe? Closet. Was in here. Yes. Got to find my axe. Won't get me, you blasted chest, you. Got it. You hear me, you evil? Axe in my hand, I'm coming for you. You came after me, but I'll get you. I see you there at the foot of the steps, you chest, you. Lying there so quiet, aren't you? Think I'll open you and then you'll get me, too? Well, you won't. You won't. I'm coming for you. See? I'm creeping close to you. Slowly. The way you crept down the stairs for me. How do you like it, you evil, waiting for your doom? I'll get close to you. I'll swing my axe, and then your evil will be over, won't it? You'll be wood and twisted bands of brass, and then I won't have to be afraid anymore, now will I? No! I'm close enough. Your doom, chest. I'm your doom. Here! There. I did it, you evil chest. You cracked you wide open. I'll pull the rest of you wide apart. And then... Ah! Agatha! You were in it. My axe, it's in your skull.
Harry. Oh, Harry.
Yes, Mr. Jemison?
Harry, That chest you delivered over Applegate Way. Where's the signed receipt for it?
Oh, yeah, it is. Lying right here.
Ah, yes. Received one chest.
What are you laughing at, Mr. Jamison?
Oh, just thinking.
Thinking of what, might I ask you, sir?
Thinking and wondering if they found out.
What's that, sir?
That the chest was the one in which that murderer, the young last Wednesday, used to stuff his murdered victims.
Cool.
I wonder if that little man that bought it, what was his name? Mags, found out about his bargain yet.
Phew. Now, just a second, Mr. Obler. You mean to say that this old chest killed those people?
I didn't say. The supernatural, the supernormal, and coincidence. Who can separate the three? I'd like to tell you something that actually happened to me, though, a few years ago. Very strange happening. But I'll tell you more about that in just a moment.
More vitamin B and iron. And now, Mr. Obler, you were about to tell us.
Well, I was going to tell you about that very thin line between coincidence and the supernormal. A number of years ago, back in Chicago, late at night, I sat down on my typewriter to try to write a short story. I sat and sat and sat there, but no ideas came along. Then, just as the clock struck 12, and I remember the time very, very well, the idea came along. Quickly, I began to type the story, a criminal in the hotel room hiding from the police. He can't remember exactly what to do. Finally, in his panic, he climbs out the window and hangs from a narrow ledge high above the city street. Finally, just as the police come in, he falls. Well, I got that very far with the plot, and then suddenly, rather tired, I went to bed. The next morning, the headline of the paper told of a criminal who had hidden in a hotel room, and then, when the police broke in, the panic, and the hour was just at midnight, had tried to escape by hanging from the narrow ledge outside the room. In other words, as I was writing that story, at that very moment, mind you, it was actually happening. Coincidence? Supernormal? Who knows?
But now, what happens next week, Mr. Obler?
Next week? Scoop. Quite a strange title, I'll admit, and a very strange story. It's about a man who worked all his life only to have what he'd worked for taken away. But that, as usual, is next week.
Yes. Lights Out will come to you again next Tuesday at the same time. Be sure to listen to Arch Obler's weird story of Scoop. Oh, by the way, in answer to those inquiring about scripts, a new book of plays by Arch Obler, Plays for Americans, has just been published by Ferrer and Reinhardt. These plays may be used without royalties by any person or group in connection with our country's war work. And if you need more vitamin B and iron, be sure to try ironized yeast, the one and only ironized yeast, with the big letters IY on the package and on each tablet.
It is later than you think.
Next year, the best-dressed man in town may be the one with the oldest suit, because today it's practical, even stylish, to get extra wear from your clothes. And Energine cleaning fluid can help you do that, folks, for Energine is a spot remover. It gets rid of those little grease spots that moths love to feed on, grease spots that settle on clothes and make them look worn, run down, and old before their time. Yes, Energine removes those spots easily, quickly, at practically no cost. Get more satisfactory wear from your clothes by caring for them this easy, economical Energine way with Energine cleaning fluid. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Unsolved Mysteries. Out of deference to persons who may still be living, character names in some of these true unsolved mysteries have been changed. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on, nor all thy piety nor wit can lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all thy tears wash out a word of it. In all the history of crime and criminals, the truth of that quotation was never better proved than in the amazing case of Bela Kiss, the mystery man of Europe. It is the year 1914. The scene is the office of the Chief of Police in Budapest. The Chief is seated behind his desk, while in the doorway stands a woman. Her face is white. Terror stares from her eyes, and her hands tremble as she tears her tiny handkerchief to pieces.
But, Chief, you must believe me. Your assistant does not. But I tell you, someone will be killed if you do not listen to what I have to say.
Now, sit down, my child. Calm yourself. Are you ready to listen to your story?
Last night I went to the theater. I sat next to a gentleman. He looked like a gentleman. We spoke about the program, you understand?
I understand. And having spoken to him of the program, he suggested you have supper?
Yes, we went for a drive in his motor car.
And he asked you how you'd like to visit his home?
Yes, sir, but how...
How do I know? It's always the same story. Of how much money did he rob you?
Money, sir, I had no money. He did not rob me. He tried to kill me. It was horrible. I nearly died of fright.
No. Complete the story.
I went to his home, at Castle it was. He asked if I would like to have my fortune told. I said yes. He told me to gaze in the crystal globe. But first he gave me some pale yellow wine to drink.
Yeah, go on.
I felt my senses slipping away from me. I was staring hard in the crystal. A shadow, I know not what, made me glance in the mirror. I saw him. He stood behind me, his eyes glaring, green they were, eyes of fire, his face almost black, and in his hand he held a piece of green silk cord. It was looped and had a slip knot. He was going to slip it over my head.
Yes, and then?
Then I fainted. The next thing I knew, I was lying among the shrubbery in Erskine Park.
Very well. We will look into the matter.
You do not believe me, do you?
Oh, I would not say that. No,
Hurry. Someday you will regret. Goodbye.
3 weeks later, a wealthy society woman tells a similar story to the Budapest chief of police. 4 weeks later, another. In each instance, the description given by the women of the castle, of the fiend who drugged them, is the same. The World War breaks out, and the police department is disrupted. But the citizens of Vienna and Budapest are terrified at the alarming number of missing women. On farms, in gardens, behind hedges, in abandoned buildings, bodies in various stages of decomposition are found. And all are bodies of women. The chief is frantic, and with a woman assistant and 2 detectives scouring the countryside in search of a building that will answer the description of the castle, he meets a government official.
Well, Chief, what are you doing out here? Seeing the country?
Well, what are you doing here?
The government has ordered the seizure of all gasoline for the war, you see. I'm detailed to this district. I'm in a few minutes going to that castle upon the hill.
Oh, the castle? May we go with you?
Certainly, it will be a pleasure. This is Herr Hartmann. He is the gentleman who told us there was gasoline stored at the castle. But get into the car. We should be off.
Oh, yes, indeed. I am stories here around here.
It's an unusual country.
You know, there is a tragic story behind that castle.
Yes?
Indeed, yeah. Bela Kiss, he owned the castle.
A very beautiful wife. They were so happy. Everybody in the village was happy in their love. But alas, she disappeared. Poor Bela Kiss was desolate. She had run away with a younger man. It was terrible.
What did he look like, this Bela Kiss?
He was a handsome man, tall, elegant, thin-faced, I would say, and black-haired, high cheekbones.
It's the same man.
It's the description given by these different women, all right. You're looking for him. We certainly are. But go on. What is the finish to the story?
The old woman went to do the cleaning at the castle. Bela Kiss told her she must not go into a certain room. Regular Bluebeard story. But the old woman, like all old women, was inquisitive. She looked.
And saw what?
5 big vats.
But we have good reason to believe these vats contain gasoline. Oh, but here we are at the place. We'll soon know for certain.
Out of the car pour the officers. The empty castle rings to their footsteps as they make their way to the forbidden room. Strangely enough, the key is in the lock. The door creaks. There are the 5 vats against the wall. A strong odor of alcohol. They move forward and look into the vats. Horror stamps their faces as they see in each vat a naked woman, and around each neck the bluish mark made by the strangler's cord.
Name of all the saints. Where is the wreck?
This is ghastly. I have come to find gasoline, and I find 5 corpses.
5? Yes, but with all the corpses found throughout the city.
The Carlton, get the men to dig the gun.
I shall have it done. On the instant, I shall have it done.
Yes, and you have, you know of this monster, this Bela Kiss. Where is he?
He was killed in the war.
26 bodies of women were found buried in Bela Kiss's garden. Over 160 pawn tickets relating to the women's wearing apparel and jewelry. Furious that death in the war had cheated him the capture of the monster, the chief returned to Budapest and tried to forget the horror of the 5 vats. The war over, the chief is sitting in his office when through the door bursts the woman who had first warned him of Bela Kiss.
I have seen him. I saw him today, not half hour ago.
Why, who? What are you talking about?
The man who tried to kill me at the castle. I saw him, I tell you.
Oh, impossible. I have checked the war records. He was killed in Serbia in 1916. See, here are the records. I have kept them. Bela Kiss died of wounds August 9th, 1916.
I do not care. Do you think I could forget him? Never, never, I tell you. He is alive, this thing.
But it is impossible, I tell you. Bela Kiss is dead.
But soon the chief was to doubt his vehement assertions, for within a month he was to hear another story of a woman almost strangled under identical circumstances, although at a different place from the now empty castle. Besides this, the terror of missing women returned to haunt the citizens, and once again the decomposed bodies of long-dead women were found in desolate places. In just a moment you will hear a solution to the strange case of Bela Kiss, the mystery man of Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, inasmuch as any solution must of necessity be supposition, liberties of time, place, and character have been taken in the solution for which you have been waiting. The solution of why the murders continued in the same manner as before Bela Kiss's reported death in the war is taken from the statements of the Chief of Police of Budapest, who supplied the information, which, to the best of our belief, has never been published in American newspapers. The scene is the hospital in which Bela Kiss had been reported as having died of wounds. The Chief of Police, remembering how the first woman had warned him of the fiend's activities, determines to carry his investigation further than the official army records reporting death. The chief questions a nurse.
You, of course, know the murders in and around Vienna and Budapest.
Yes, naturally. Although, like everyone else on war service, I was too busy to really keep up with the report.
Well, we did not give all our information to the press. We decided that we would have more success by keeping something secret.
I can understand that.
Now, this man, the fiend is a better name, has probably been responsible for the death of over 300 women. I would like to find out if there are any hospital records other than the official report of Bela Kiss' death.
You don't mean that Bela Kiss is the man you suspect?
I do. In fact, it isn't suspicion. It is an established fact.
But that's impossible. I nursed Bela Kiss till he died. And a young and pious-minded boy of 20 could hardly...
20? Why, Bela Kiss was over 40.
Not the Bela Kiss who died here in this hospital. He was a young boy, I tell you, and I know I nursed him till he died.
Ah, then I have the solution. How badly wounded was Bela Kiss when he was brought here?
There never was any hope that he might recover. Anyone could have seen that he must die.
And Bela Kiss, the real Bela Kiss, undoubtedly exchanged his identification disc and papers with the wounded man, knowing full well that the young boy would be buried as Bela Kiss. And he, the monstrous wretch, free to pursue his murderous career unhindered. But I'll get him. I'll get him.
Back to Budapest races the chief. For 4 days he works feverishly, taking no one into his confidence, but ordering his men to stand by. One night, to a house on the outskirts of town, drive 2 police cars filled with officers. The chief leads the way from the back of the house to one of the upper rooms.
Now listen, you men. Listen. I want absolute silence. I am decided in my own mind that Bela Kiss has trapped the various women he has killed by advertisements in the papers. So I decided to use his methods and inserted this advertisement. I'll read it. Young woman, widow, with moderate fortune and with moderately good looks, desires company of men of culture, preferably 40 or over, must be tall and dark. Object, matrimony.
And you expect Bela Kiss to answer that?
He has answered it. He'll be here.
A taxi at the door. A man is getting out.
Ah, gee, it's Bela Kiss.
He looked up. He's getting back into the taxi.
After him, quick.
Down the stairs rush the police. The taxi, with Bela Kiss standing on the running board, speeds toward the river with the police car in pursuit.
He's going to shoot. Take him. Take him.
Bela Kiss slumps. He's hit, but he hangs on. The taxi reaches the bridge. Another burst of bullets. Several shots take effect, but with one last effort, Bela Kiss throws himself from the taxi, pulls himself over the parapet of the bridge, falls like a plummet, and disappears forever under the foaming waters of the Danube. And so, coincidence, the World War, a search for gasoline, a nurse who remembered a patient, provide the solution for a 15-year-old unsolved mystery. Bela Kiss, the mystery man of Europe.
Signal Oil Program. Yes, the Signal Oil Program. The Whistler. That whistle is your signal for the Signal Oil Program, The Whistler.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
Yes, friends, it's time for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, rated tops in popularity for a longer period of time than any other West Coast program in radio history. And Signal gasoline is tops, too, tops in quality. It takes extra quality, you know, to give you extra mileage. And Signal is the famous Go Farther gasoline. So look for the Signal Circle sign in yellow and black that identifies independently operated Signal stations from Canada to Mexico. And now the Whistler's strange story. Deal with Death.
For Scott Rainey, it all began with a question, one that had been on his mind all day. And as he hurried home that evening, each step seemed to fan the fires of jealousy that burned within him. There are always questions on Scott's mind, but this particular one had nothing to do with his work as a reporter for one of San Francisco's leading dailies. Rather, it involved his wife, Evelyn, and another reporter, Scott's longtime rival, a man named Matt Cregan. Now, Scott was certain that the rivalry between them was no longer confined to the newspaper business. His wife, Evelyn, had been acting strangely for weeks. As Scott faced her in their small apartment, he spoke quietly.
Evelyn,
What is it, dear?
were you with Cregan at the El Prado bar yesterday afternoon?
Why, no, Scott.
Okay. Okay, Evelyn.
Scott, where are you going?
I guess it's all pretty boring. Hey, Gus?
What is?
Oh, listening to guys crying out their domestic troubles to you over the bar?
All goes with bartendering. Maybe he ain't got the trouble you think.
She lied, didn't she? I saw her here with Cregan.
Sure, but maybe she had a good reason. They've been friends for a long time, ain't they?
Yeah, but...
He did a lot for her when she was singing in clubs around town. Looked after her pretty well. Some of the spots she worked in was operated by guys that was plenty tough. She's pretty attractive, your wife.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't know about Evelyn's past. She didn't ask me about mine. That's how we got married, Gus. No questions asked. Fix me another drink, will you?
Yeah, sure. Oh, I almost forgot. About an hour ago, there was a call for you.
Any message?
Fella didn't leave one. He said he'd call back later.
Well, I'm not sticking around much longer.
Hiya, Gus. Oh, Al. It's about time. My dogs are killing me. Look, you're supposed to relieve me at 8 o'clock.
Hi.
Sure, Gus. Only there was a roadblock. Little excitement down on the waterfront.
What kind of excitement?
Fire in one of them cheap hotels.
You didn't stop to find out how it happened?
Nah, I didn't want old Gus here to overwork. It's the first time it ever bothered you.
I think I'll get down and have a look. What do I owe you, Gus?
You already caught the last one. Always on the beat, huh?
A reporter is only as good as his last hot story.
This one ought to be hot enough anyway. A fire. I'm sorry you came.
The story doesn't really interest you, does it, Scott? Just something to keep your mind off Evelyn. The jealousy you feel about her friendship with Matt Cregan. The fire at the cheap waterfront hotel is all over when you get there. Only a few people around, curiously looking on. In the lobby, you see someone you know, Lieutenant Shaw, a police detective. His reaction to seeing you is somewhat startling.
Ronnie.
Oh, you were always good at figuring things, Lieutenant. That's the name, Scott Rainey. How did this happen?
An explosion upstairs.
Anybody hurt?
Yeah. The man in room 5 is dead.
Oh, what's his name? Well, his name, Lieutenant.
The hotel register gives the dead man's name as Rainey, Scott Rainey, and it also gives your home address.
You stare at Lieutenant Shaw, then at the hotel register that he hands you. Your own name leaps up at you from the pages. And you wonder what it's all about. Who wrote your name there? And why?
Tell you what I think, Scott. That explosion up there was premature. A booby trap that went off at dress rehearsal instead of the regular show.
I don't get it.
You might have, right in the neck. You could have been the intended victim. Somebody figured on getting you up to that room.
But why?
That's the tough part. The rest is easy. There's enough evidence left to convince me it was a rigged-up deal, wires connected to the wall heater.
Hey, wait a second.
Huh?
I got a call tonight. Dropped his bar. Some guy said he'd call back.
Maybe he never got the chance. He may be the guy who was setting that trap, only it went off in his face. He was probably going to get you over here in a phony tip.
What was he after? Are you trying to kill me? Frame me? What?
Listen, Scott. Maybe this sounds crazy to you, but I have an idea. How about playing dead for a while?
Playing dead?
Just keeping out of sight for a day or two. Give us a chance to dig deeper into this thing, figure out what it's all about.
Yeah, but a couple of guys know I'm not dead. Gus and Al, the two bartenders at the El Prado.
Oh, we'll handle them all right. The person who'll do the worrying is the one who planned this thing. Let's not give it away until you think it over. Oh, here they come. Duck into this room. I'll talk to the other reporters. Go on inside. Well, hiya, boys. What can I do for you?
Hey, anything big to this waterfront fire, Lieutenant?
How come you're looking into it?
Not a homicide, is it? The voices of the lieutenant's questioners drift over the transom to you. You recognize them all. Reporters, Carter, Benson, LeGrand. And then one voice cuts through, the most familiar one of all. It's the voice of Matt Cregan, isn't it, Scott, your old rival?
Have you made any identification yet, Lieutenant?
Maybe we have, Cregan, but whether we have or not, we aren't ready to release anything.
Well, what name was the guy registered under?
We're not revealing that either.
Oh, you know, huh? Okay, have it your way, Lieutenant. I can wait.
Not worried about being scooped by your old pal?
What do you mean?
Scott Rainey.
Oh, no, I'm not worried.
Or isn't he a pal? Funny he isn't around.
Yeah, it is.
Nah, he probably will be.
Sure. Maybe so, Lieutenant. Maybe so.
Something in Cregan's tone bothers you, doesn't it, Scott? He isn't worried at all. You're sure of it. And suddenly you've made up your mind about something else. When the other reporters have gone, you have an answer ready for the lieutenant.
I've decided to string along with you, Lieutenant. I'll play dead for a while. Just tell me what to do.
You don't do anything, Scott. Just keep out of sight. The body will remain unidentified. We'll let whoever did this sweat a while. He might get careless, make a mistake. When we break the case, the story is all yours.
Okay, Lieutenant. But the story is only part of what I'm after.
With the prologue of Deal with Death, the Signal Oil Company brings you another strange story by The Whistler. If, like most car owners, you'll be using tomorrow's holiday for a drive somewhere, you'll also be seeing a lot of Signal service stations. So it occurred to me that you might like to know a little more about this friendly organization which brings you The Whistler. Well, first of all, Signal products have always been sold only through independently operated stations. The reason? Signal Oil Company believes that a man who has his own business naturally has more incentive to serve you better. And secondly, because you want top-quality products for your car, each individual Signal station is backed by an organization which serves the many hundreds of Signal dealers throughout 6 western states, with facilities to bring you every latest advance in petroleum science. Obviously, drivers must like this combination of Signal's personalized service plus fine quality Signal products. When you consider how fast Signal has grown into an organization serving the entire West Coast from border to border. To see for yourself one of the good reasons for this increasing popularity, drop into a Signal station tomorrow. Fill up your tank and discover how you go farther with Signal.
Well, Scott, you've decided, haven't you? Agreed to play dead for Lieutenant Shaw to give him an opportunity to investigate the strange motive behind the explosion in the Waterfront Hotel in an attempt to kill you. There's something intriguing about the whole idea, isn't there? Keeping out of sight, sitting back, watching, waiting for development. And you'll be especially interested in the reaction of 2 people, Matt Cregan and your wife, Evelyn.
Look, Scott, I'm going back to headquarters and see how the boys are coming along with the dead man's prints. You'd better duck out of sight.
Okay.
There's an apartment on Ellis Street. I made arrangements to hide you there. Here's the address and the key.
Thank you.
I'll call you the minute I find out anything. If we're lucky, we'll have the dead man's prints on file.
All right, Lieutenant. I'm sort of anxious to know who he is.
It's important to you, isn't it, Scott, to know who the dead man is? The man you're certain set the death trap for you in that waterfront hotel room. What's more important is Matt Cregan. And on your way to the hideout, you see him walking up the street ahead of you. You follow Cregan as he wanders around the waterfront district, looking into one bar, then another. At one place, the Golden Hawk Bar, he stays there for over an hour, and then finally he comes out and continues his rounds. He's searching for someone, isn't he, Scott? Finally, Matt returns to his flat on Washington Street. You're more than a little annoyed to see the lights in his apartment go out, and you know he's gone to bed. A quarter of an hour later, you enter a small apartment building on Ellis Street. The address Lieutenant Shaw gave you. As you open the door...
Scott!
What? Oh, Lieutenant.
Where have you been?
I was just scouting around.
That could be dangerous. I told you to stay out of sight.
Sure.
You ever hear of Dino Corelli?
The gambler? Sure, I've heard of him.
Don't know him, though.
No, should I?
Well, he's the guy we pulled out of that hotel fire. The man who registered in that room under your name.
Corelli?
Mm-hmm.
Lieutenant, I thought Corelli was still up at San Quentin.
Got out a couple of months ago. Been floating around town since then, picking up odd jobs here and there.
You think somebody hired him to set that trap up for me tonight?
Could be.
Hey, wait a minute. That doesn't figure. Corelli was a gambler, a big gambler, not a trigger man.
Corelli was a big man once, but when he got out of prison 2 months ago, he was just another guy, a nobody, and without dough. Maybe he wanted to pick up a few bucks.
Still doesn't make sense.
Maybe this will. We checked up on him. Found he once served a prison term back east for a bank job. In his early days, Corelli's was an expert with explosives, a soup artist.
Oh, that does sort of make a difference.
Yeah. My hunch is, of course, I may be wrong, but it's possible somebody hired Corelli to kill you, Scott. Now, do you see why it's important you keep out of sight?
Sure.
Whoever tried to have you killed will probably try it again when he finds out this attempt failed. So if you're smart, you'll stay in this apartment.
What's that?
Oh, never mind, Scott. It's one of my boys out front. I told him to pick me up.
Okay, Lieutenant.
I'll let you know how we make out. We're going to start hitting a few of Corelli's hangouts, starting with the Golden Hawk.
The Golden Hawk?
Yeah, you know where it is?
Yeah, I know.
It's beginning to add up, isn't it, Scott? The Golden Hawk Bar, one of Corelli's hangouts. And that's where Matt Cregan went tonight, looking for Corelli. You're sure he's involved in the attempt on your life, aren't you, Scott? You're certain Cregan's in love with your wife. But there's no proof of it yet. And that's what you need, proof, before you can make your move to handle Cregan in your own way. You pick up the telephone and dial. Too dangerous for you to leave the apartment, so you're going to need someone to help you. The sort of help that a police informer like Jerry Harris can give you.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, just a second. Will you, baby? Hello?
Jerry, this is Scott Rainey.
Oh, hi. What's up?
Don't let anybody know you've talked to me, Jerry. Got a little job for you.
Well, look, pal, I'm sort of tied up at the moment. Pretty.
Well, this can wait till morning, but that's all.
Morning, huh? Well, I got some things on file for the morning, pal. I don't think I'll be able
Still on
to...
parole, aren't you, Jerry?
Yeah. Why?
There are certain things guys on parole are not supposed to do, Jerry. You get what I mean?
I think so. What do you want me to do?
Nothing that could hurt you. Just tail a guy. Matt Cregan.
Cregan, the reporter?
Yeah. Let me know what he does, where he goes, who he sees. That's all. And keep your mouth shut.
Okay.
Keep in touch with me at this number. Lafayette, 8971. You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
You lie awake most of that night, don't you, Scott? Thinking about it all. Cregan, the death trap, and Corelli. Again, your thoughts turn to your wife, Evelyn, and you wonder what part she had in the attempt on your life. Or if it was just Cregan's idea. As you stare out of the window and watch the first gray streaks of dawn sweep in over the sleeping city, your thoughts go back to Corelli's trial. 10 years ago, wasn't it? You lean back in the heavy chair, close your eyes. You remember the trial well. Matt Cregan, covering the case, was the only reporter who believed Corelli's story, and he played it up big. Perhaps that's the reason why Corelli was willing to return Cregan's favor and set up your death trap. Yes, that's what you're thinking about when somehow you doze off. It's almost noon when the phone wakens you. It's Jerry with a report on Cregan.
First Cregan dropped around to your newspaper. Then he hit a half a dozen restaurants. Spent a couple of hours at the Hall of Justice. Then back to his paper. Then out to your house.
My house?
Well, yeah.
Okay, then what?
Well, he's still there. I'm calling from the drugstore on the corner.
All right, stay with him.
Cregan's checking up on you, isn't he, Scott? As long as the body at the morgue remains unidentified, he doesn't know for certain if you're really dead. Then throughout the day, there are more calls from Jerry.
He's still on the move, Scott. One bar after another. Bowling alleys, restaurants, pool halls. Half a dozen times today, he's been to the same apartment on Bush Street. Whoever he's calling on there don't answer. He's at the Alfredo bar now, Scott. Your wife is with him. Cregan's still looking, Scott, only now I know who he's looking for. A guy called Dino Corelli. That explains why Cregan's been trying that apartment on Bush Street all day.
That where Corelli lives?
Well, not officially. To the law, he's got a furnished room on Fillmore. Only what they don't know is that Corelli has another place to hang his hat. A little apartment on Bush, listed under the name of Carr.
What's the address?
671, apartment 3.
Okay. Where are you now?
At the Palm Grill, just a couple of blocks down the street from you. The Cregan's having his dinner.
But don't let him out of your sight.
Yeah?
Nothing. Nothing at all, Jerry.
It hits you suddenly, doesn't it, Scott? All Jerry has is the phone number of your hideout. Yet he knows where it is. He said he was calling from a restaurant only a few blocks away from you. You wonder if Jerry is planning to double-cross you. You've got to find out now. It's dark out and you decide to chance it. You leave the apartment, hurry down the street, and finally you're standing in a darkened storefront across the street from the cafe. You've only a few minutes to wait, and then you see Cregan and Jerry come out. Cregan is doing the talking. You've made a mistake, haven't you, Scott? Calling in Jerry to help you. A few minutes later, you see Cregan get into a cab and drive off. Jerry turns and walks away. On a darkened side street, you catch up to him.
Just a second, Jerry.
Hey, what? Oh, Scott.
What were you and Cregan jawing about back there?
Oh, he's got wise. He told me to quit killing him or he'd shut my ears down.
How did you know I was in that apartment on Ellis?
Oh, that? Oh, it's easy. I remember the phone number. I was up to the apartment a couple of times doing a little job for Lieutenant Shaw.
Okay. How did Cregan tumble to you?
Well, I guess I got too close to that phone booth and he spotted me.
He was calling somebody?
Yeah. Some dame kept calling him honey. From what I overheard, he's figuring on blowing town with her tonight. I heard him say he had 2 tickets for the 11 o'clock plane.
Oh, leaving town, huh? Listen, Jerry, meet me at Corelli's apartment right away.
Well, what do you want me for?
Well, apartments usually have locks. I can use your talents.
Jerry opens Corelli's apartment easily. You search the place thoroughly, but there isn't a single clue here to link Cregan with Corelli. All you find is a .45 automatic. You slip it into your pocket, glance at your watch. Only 2 hours left before Cregan catches his plane. And you're pretty sure you know who the second ticket's for. There's nothing else to do, is there, Scott? You've got to face him, have it out, before he gets away. Shortly before 9:30, you enter the apartment house where Cregan lives. The hand in your pocket tightens around the gun as you hurry up the stairs, and you wonder what he'll say when he sees you. He's in for a shock, isn't he, Scott, when he discovers you're still alive. And then as you reach for the doorbell at his apartment, something you hear stops your hand in midair. A laugh. A woman's laugh coming from the inside.
Well, Scott Rainey, boy reporter. Hiya, sourpuss. Come on in. I've been looking for you.
What?
Yeah, wanted you to be the first to know. Right now, I'm the happiest guy in the world, Scott, and I owe it all to you. I knew that'd break your heart.
What are you talking about?
Hey, honey, look who's here.
Well, hello, Scott.
You remember Vicky Grant, don't you, pal? You should. You introduced us a couple of months back. Remember? I twisted your arm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember.
Say, you're just in time to have a going-away drink with us.
Going away?
Sure. Vicky and I are getting married, pal. Come on, have a drink. Let's bury the hatchet. Tonight, I love everybody. Even you, sourpuss.
Don't mind him, Scott. Matt keeps telling me you're the best reporter in town.
Of course he is. Hey, look, Scott. To show you my heart's in the right place, I'm going to give you a tip. You heard about that fire in the hotel on the waterfront?
Fire?
Yeah, the police say they haven't identified the body, but I know better. I also have a few good contacts at the morgue. The guy's name is Corelli, Dino Corelli.
Oh?
My spies also tell me he's got a little hideout on Bush Street under another name. Might be a big story there, pal. It's all yours. I'm too busy getting married.
Scott, where are you going?
Hey, wait a minute. How about that drink?
As you half run down the stairs, you realize you've been all wrong, haven't you, Scott? You were quick, eager to jump to the conclusion that Matt Cregan had hired Corelli to kill you. Certain Matt wanted you out of the way so he could marry your wife, Evelyn. But it hasn't turned out that way, has it? You had it all figured out, and you were completely wrong. As you reach the street, you realize, too, that now you'll have to start all over, that you're no nearer to the answer than you were last night. Back at the apartment on Ellis Street, the hideout furnished you by Lieutenant Shaw, you paced the floor for hours trying to think it out, struggling to find the motive behind the attempt on your life. And then...
Yeah?
Jerry again. After I let you in Corelli's apartment, I played a hunch and went over to the Golden Hawk to see if Corelli and Cregan never got together there. Well, it seems not. But Corelli spent most of his time talking to some dame.
Oh? Know who she is?
Well, the bartender ain't sure. But he heard Corelli call the dame by her first name several times.
What is it?
The dame's name is Evelyn. You still there, pal?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Well, what now, Scott? Scott?
One more thing, then I won't need you anymore, Jerry. Call up my home and tell my wife that Corelli wants to see her at his place right away. Don't give her the address.
Yeah?
Don't tell her who you are. Just give her the message and hang up.
Okay, but I don't get it.
No, I guess you don't. But I think Evelyn will.
The Whistler will return in just a moment with a strange ending to tonight's story. Cars are a convenience anytime. But just as it takes a long holiday weekend like this to make you fully appreciate how much fun a car can be, it also takes a top-quality gasoline to make you fully aware of how much performance your car has in it. That's why I'd like to suggest that before you get out on the highway tomorrow, you fill up with Signal gasoline. You'll have some pleasant surprises in store for you. Naturally, you'll enjoy excellent mileage. Mileage that has made Signal famous from Canada to Mexico as the Go Farther gasoline. But in addition, you'll discover other benefits from the extra efficiency today's Signal gasoline coaxes from your motor. Benefits such as smarter pickup and smoother power. Yes, mileage and performance do go hand in hand. So for the tops in driving pleasure, fill up with Signal and go farther.
All along, you were certain that Matt Cregan was involved in the attempt to kill you, weren't you, Scott? Certain he had hired Corelli to set up the death trap. But you were wrong. Now he's out of it. That leaves one person, Evelyn. Yes. You're sure it was your wife and Corelli who plotted your death in that cheap waterfront hotel. That it had been Corelli all along. Hard to imagine your wife in love with a man like Corelli. But as your friend Gus the bartender said, he'd been thrown with some pretty tough characters in her work as a nightclub singer before you'd known her. One thing you're sure of. When Jerry phoned her to meet you at Corelli's, he didn't give her Corelli's address. If she comes. It means she's been there before. As you sit in Corelli's apartment waiting for her, you stare at the gun on the table at your elbow and then at your watch. It's been over an hour now since she received the message.
Come in.
Scott, what are you doing here?
Surprised, baby?
You watch her as she stands in the doorway, a puzzled look on her face. And then suddenly something happens to you, doesn't it, Scott? A moment ago you were going to kill her, but now your hands remain motionless in your lap. You find you love her so much you can't reach for the gun on the table.
Oh, darling, you had me worried sick. Where have you been?
I guess I should have told you before, Mrs. Rainey. Scott was working for me.
Lieutenant, how
Thought I'd better come along, Scott. Right now, Mrs. Rainey, I think you'd better explain something to him.
You mean Corelli?
Evelyn, what's this all about?
Oh, darling, I didn't want you to know, ever.
Your wife got a phone call tonight, Scott. She came right down to headquarters and told me the whole setup. You don't know this, Scott, but a long time ago, your wife was Corelli's girlfriend.
What?
Yes, you see, I was just a kid. I didn't know what he did, how he made his money. And when I found out, I stopped seeing him. But he kept hounding me. And then I heard he went to prison.
When he got out a couple of months ago, he started in again.
He wanted me to go away with him, to leave you. He threatened me, said if I didn't...
The threat, Scott, was murder. He told your wife he'd kill you if she didn't go away with him.
Evelyn.
You see now why I was so worried. I didn't know what to do, darling. I went to Matt Cregan for help. That's when I met him at the El Prado bar. And he promised to do all he could.
Well, it's all over. We know now that no one hired Corelli to kill you. The booby trap was his own idea. Guess you'd forget about it.
But I still don't understand, Lieutenant. That phone call I got tonight to come to Corelli's. Who...
I think you can forget about that, too, Mrs. Rainey. It was probably some crank's idea. Wouldn't you say so, Scott?
Yeah. Yeah, Lieutenant. A crank. Some, poor dope.
Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at this same time. Brought to you by the Signal Oil Company, marketers of Signal gasoline and motor oil, and fine quality automotive accessories. Signal has asked me to remind you, to get the most driving pleasure, drive at sensible speeds, be courteous, and obey traffic regulations. It may save a life, possibly your own. Featured in tonight's story were Frank Lovejoy and Ted DeCorsia. The Whistler was produced and directed by George W. Allen, with story by Steve Hampton, music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted to our troops overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. The Whistler is entirely fictional, and all characters portrayed on The Whistler are also fictional. Any similarity of names or resemblance to persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. Remember, at the same time next Sunday, another strange tale by The Whistler. Marvin Miller speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Good evening. This is Peter Warren. Would it bore you to hear a tale of tragic murder? Are you unwilling to sit through the telling of a strange and horrible story? The brief narrative of a man caught in a web of evil? You're not? Then, my friends, keep right on listening to the Mystery Playhouse. Humor I've heard it said many times, is of real benefit to him who possesses one. This particular sense has come to be so generally admired that it has attained the stature of a first-class virtue. Well, the fellow whom you're about to meet, while hardly falling into the virtuous category, he does have a sense of humor. Things like murder or hate and madness, or someone telling him his mother just died, practically rose him in the aisles. He loves a good, ghoulish joke. Oh, and he loves to tell them, too. He's about to start one now. So follow me, please, to the inner sanctum and your host, Raymond.
Good evening, friends of the inner sanctum. Now, come in, won't you? This is your host, Raymond, again, disturbing the peace. Say, have you ever had the screaming meanies? Did you ever get an attack of the yelling and wailing jitters? Do you walk in your sleep? Do you ever wake in the middle of the night shrieking at the top of your lungs? Oh, you do? Well, you must be an awfully hard person to live with. Well, friends, it's time for our story to begin. From this point on, forget everything pleasant. Get a finger ready to chew on, turn the lights down low, and listen to Peter Lorre tell you the blood-curdling tale, Death is a Joker. Come with me to the criminal court building. A tense hush falls upon the spectators as Charles Luther takes the stand.
Gentlemen of the jury, I'm accused of murder. I'm an actor, a comedian. Look at my face. Ugly, huh? Yes, so ugly that whoever looks at it laughs. I'm not telling you this to win sympathy for myself. I tell you this because it is important to your understanding the strange events that brought me to this courtroom today to plead for my life. Shortly before midnight of November 28th, I went to the apartment of my friend Robert Langwell, the famous actor and matinee artist.
Charles. Well, this is a surprise. Come in.
Thank you.
Would you like a drink?
No, don't bother. I don't want anything.
No? Well, then, here, may I take your thing? Oh, excuse me. Hello. Oh, George. Yes, I have the money for you. You'll be up? When? 20 minutes? Yes. Bye. George Gelvin. You know him, Charles?
Yes.
Rotten actor. But an excellent poker player.
So I've heard. Robert, before leaving the theater tonight, someone told me that you and Julie Winthrop are going to be married. Is it true?
Yes, we'll be married in 2 weeks, right after my wife gets a decree in Reno.
You must not marry Julie.
Not marry Julie? Well, who are you to tell me what I can do?
I know Julie well, and I also know you. That's why you must not marry her.
Charles, it might be better for you to mind your own business. Julie and I are in love with each other.
No, you're not. She's fascinated by your good looks. She's impressed by your fame, but she does not love you.
Now, look here. We may be old friends, but I've stood all I'm going to. Wait a moment. I get it now. You're in love with her yourself.
I'm in love with Julie. No, we are just friends.
Friends? You're madly in love with her. That's why you came here tonight, isn't it?
No.
Friends.
Stop, you're laughing.
You in love with a girl like Julie.
Why should my love make you laugh?
Oh, so you admit it, huh?
All right, I do. Why is it so funny?
Do you think she'd have you? You, a clown, ugly, clumsy? You in love with Julie?
And why not? Why not?
You!
Stop your laughing. Stop it.
Can I? Look at yourself. Charles.
Let go of me. No. You're choking. Let go. A joke, huh? A joke. Laugh. Go ahead. Laugh now. Laugh. Robert. Robert. I didn't mean it. Robert. Lord, what have I done? I rushed out of his apartment, trembling. I turned my coat collar up to hide my face. The streets were crowded with people coming from the late movies and restaurants. I tried to make myself act naturally, but it was impossible. Everyone I saw, every pair of eyes that looked at me, seemed to accuse me of my crime. I stopped, waited for the light to change.
Paper, mister. Morning paper. Read about the Reynolds execution.
Here, let me have one.
There you are.
I didn't know Reynolds was to be executed tonight.
Yeah, they burned him. Well, he deserved it. Murdering his friend like he did. Oh, wait a minute, mister. You forgot your change.
Oh, never mind, never mind. I went to my apartment and I looked at the newspaper I had bought. There was a photograph of Reynolds on the first page. In his face, I saw my future. The shattered hopes, the torture of the trial, the horrible, nerve-wracking experience of waiting for death. I flung the paper away. I went to the window. I opened it. I looked down 17 stories to the ground. How tiny people look. The automobile lights moved like so many fireflies. I climbed out on the edge. I braced my arms. I took a deep breath. One last look. I closed my eyes and... Doorbell rang. I hesitated a moment. I decided to answer it. I closed the window, went to the door.
Hello, Charles.
Julie.
Why did you rush away from the theater tonight? I was anxious to talk to you.
Talk to me about what?
I need your advice, Charles.
What's wrong?
Well, it's Robert.
What happened?
Well, nothing happened. It's just that I'm not sure I love him.
I'm not sure.
Yes, when I'm with him, everything seems all right. He's handsome and charming, but when I'm alone, I begin to wonder and to doubt.
Why?
Can't you guess why?
Yes. You left someone else?
Yes.
Oh, who is it?
You.
Me?
Yes, that's what I came here to tell you. That's why I don't want to marry him. Yes, I would have told you before, but I was so afraid of making a fool of myself. You didn't seem to care.
I didn't care. Julie, this is crazy. I loved you from the moment I saw you.
You loved me?
Yes.
But, darling, why didn't you tell me?
Tell you? How could I? You're so young, so beautiful. And I, look at me. Ugly, clumsy. How could I speak to you?
Oh, those words. How you look means nothing to me.
Nothing?
Of course not, darling. How lucky we are we found out in time.
In time? In time? Oh, merciful heavens. What a joke. What a joke.
Charles, what's wrong?
What a
tears
joke.
streaming down your face. Charles, you're hysterical. Now stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Julie, something you must know.
Yes, sir.
Tonight I committed a murder.
Murder? What are you talking about?
I killed Robert.
Killed Robert? Oh, out of your mind. You don't know what you're saying.
But it is true. I went to his apartment and we quarreled, and I killed him.
Oh, no.
You told me a moment ago that you loved me. Do you still love me?
Yes, Charles.
And tell me what to do, Julie. Help me. I can't think. I don't know where to turn, but what can I do, Julie? What can I do?
Now, pull yourself together, Charles. This may not be as hopeless as you think.
Why?
Was Robert alone in the apartment when you called?
Yes.
Were you seen entering or leaving?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes, his apartment is on the second floor. I walked up and down.
What time did you get there?
Shortly before midnight.
And what did you do before that?
Went to a movie.
Movie? How long did you stay there?
Oh, only about 20 minutes.
Do you have the tickets, Chuck?
Huh? Yes, here it is.
Charles, do you realize what this means? They may never find out about you.
Never find out?
That's right. They won't suspect you since they can't know your motive. No one saw you enter or leave, and you have an excellent alibi.
Motive? Alibi, Julie? Do you realize what we are doing? We are talking of this as if we planned this crime, as though we were criminals. But I committed a crime, yes, but I'm no criminal. I didn't mean to do it.
I know, darling, I know. You must think of your own life now. And mine.
Yes, Julia. Oh, I see what you mean. I'm not a criminal, but I must play the role of a criminal now. A subtler, clever criminal who is cunning enough to escape punishment. Can I do it? Can I do it, Julia?
Charles, listen to me. We must find out how much the police know. If it's hopeless and they have found out about you, then it would be best to give yourself up. But let's not make any decisions until we know.
How can we know?
Did Robert expect anyone tonight?
Yes, George Gelvin phoned while he was there. He said he'd be up in about 20 minutes.
And the body must have been discovered by now.
Yes, I'm sure the police must be there by this time.
I think that I'll go to Robert's apartment.
No, Julie, no. I don't want you to become involved.
I'm already involved. Against the me, this horrible thing would never have happened. The least I can do is to help you now.
But, Julia...
Promise me you'll not leave this apartment, Charles.
All right.
I won't be long.
Julie.
Yes.
If something happens, if something goes wrong and is separated before you return, I want you to know that I don't know what to say, Julie.
You don't have to say it, darling. I know what you mean. Goodbye.
Goodbye. A criminal. I have to think like one, to act like one, have to be one. What question would be asked?
Where were you at 12 o'clock midnight of November 28th?
I was in a movie, and here's the stub. No, they can see immediately that I'm lying. My voice must not tremble. I shouldn't be so quick with the answer.
Where were you at 12 midnight of November 28th?
Where was I? Let me see. Well, I left the theater and I went to a movie. It was a very amusing picture. Very amusing.
Can you prove what you say?
Prove? Well, I don't know. It'd be difficult. Well, maybe you have the ticket stuff somewhere. Yes, here. Let me show it to you. Here it is.
Did you ever quarrel with Robert Langwell?
Quarrel? We were friends. We played in many shows together. We were on the best of terms.
That's all, Mr. Littler. You may leave now.
Yes, I can plead. It is possible. I can escape punishment. Police? Can it be the police? Maybe it is Julie.
Good evening, Charles.
George Gelvin.
I know it's rather late for an unexpected visit.
Yes, it is.
But this is important, Charles. A matter of life and death, you might say.
What do you mean?
Have you a cigarette?
Huh? Yes, here.
Thanks. What's the matter, Charles? Your hand's trembling.
It's nothing.
You don't seem to be your usual self this evening. No quips, no jokes. What's wrong?
I don't always feel like joking.
Yes, Charles. It's strange about human nature, isn't it? Who would have ever dreamed that tonight, a few minutes before midnight, you entered Robert Langwell's apartment, quarreled with him over Julie, and choked him to death?
What are you talking about?
You're an excellent actor, Charles. But you're wasting your talents on me. Save them for the footlights. Or the police.
Police? Will you please tell me what all this is about?
Still acting, huh? Now, look, Charles. You killed Robert shortly before midnight tonight.
You are mistaken. I was in a movie at that time.
So that's your alibi. Very clever. Now, Charles, either we discuss terms now, or I go to the police.
Wait. How did you find out?
That is my secret.
What do you want?
Money. All you have on hand. All you can dig up.
All right. Come with me. I have some money in the bedroom.
All right. Just a moment.
What is the business?
Yes.
Why?
I'm taking no chances. Let's go.
All right.
Well, where's the money? Charles, stand back or I'll fire. Stand back.
No. Let go of my hand. Let go. I'll twist it. I'll twist it till that gun points to your head. Charles, let go of my hand. You don't know what you're doing. Go on. Fire now. The bullet will enter your brain. Fire. Charles. Fire. Charles, don't. I'll make you fire. I'll squeeze your fingers. Charles, let go. Go on. This is all a joke. I'll make you.
Stop it, Charles.
Just a second. Just a second.
Charles. Darling, there's nothing more to worry about. Everything's all right now. We can be married and go on living and never fear anything.
What makes you say that?
Darling, you didn't commit a crime at all.
What do you mean?
Robert's alive.
Alive?
Yes, he's downstairs now paying the taxi.
Robert is alive?
Yes. I spoke to him about the marriage, and he was wonderful about the whole thing. Darling, aren't you happy? Our worries are all over. You can smile and be gay. That must be Robert now.
Hello, Charles.
Robert. I thought you were...
Well, I'm not.
But how did you
see, I fainted. George Gelvin came in and brought me to.
George Gelvin. Did you tell George Gelvin what happened?
Yes, I did. Look here, Charles. As I told Julie, I'm willing to forget the whole thing if you are.
Forget?
Yes. It might have ended tragically, you know, but thinking it over, I realize I'm as much to blame as you are. So if you're willing to shake hands.
Shake hands?
There now, darling. There's nothing more to worry about. I feel so happy I could... Charles, what's the matter with you?
It's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing. Gentlemen of the jury, I became a criminal all because I thought I had committed a crime and I had to think like a criminal. My motives were those of all men. I wanted happiness and wanted marriage to the woman I loved. What would you have done in my place? And I still think I know that guy. I wish I could place him. Well, it must be wonderful to have a sense of humor, but I don't think Charlie feels much like laughing. Do you? We'll pay a return visit to the inner sanctum and its fun-loving host Raymond soon, but don't go, please. Not until we drop in at the green room, where the players are rehearsing our next performance in a mystery playhouse. Come with me, please. Come.
Change the dressings at midnight and again in the morning, nurse.
Yes, Doctor.
Well, Doctor, what did you find? Will I be blind? Is it very bad?
Now, take it easy, Mr. Denton. There's nothing to worry about. Nothing at all.
You're sure? You aren't just saying that.
I'm quite sure.
Valerie, did you hear that? I'm not going to be blind. Valerie, where are you?
Right here, darling.
Did you hear? I won't be blind. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes, darling, it's marvelous.
You don't sound very excited. Valerie, don't you realize I'm going to see again?
She doesn't sound excited because I don't want you to be excited, Mr. Denton. You've got to relax. Try to sleep.
Sleep? With this ungodly pain? My eyes feel as though they were on fire.
That will stop as soon as the opiate I gave you takes hold. You'll be comfortable, I'm sure. Now, good night.
You're going now, Doctor?
Yes, I'll look in on your husband in the morning.
Stephen?
Yes, Valerie?
Do you mind if I step out into the corridor for a moment?
But you promised not to leave me. I'm afraid, Valerie. Everything's so dark.
The nurse will be here, dear, if you want anything. I just want to ask Dr. Wade some questions.
Questions? But he's already told us.
Yes, Stephen, I know. But I'd like to find out about the treatment and how I'm to take care of you when we get you home, you know. Just little things.
All right. But hurry back. I want you near me.
I will, dear.
Good night, Mr. Denton.
Good night, Doctor. And thank you.
You're quite welcome. After you, Mrs. Denton.
Thank you.
I suggest we step into the consultation room across the hall. We'll have more privacy.
All right.
Here we are.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a long time, Valerie.
Yes, Paul, it has.
Almost 10 years, isn't it?
About that?
Strange that you should have called me, of all people, to treat your husband's eyes.
Oh, I was panicky, Paul. I didn't know what to do. It all happened so suddenly. Stephen was working in his laboratory at the house when suddenly I heard a violent explosion. I ran in and found him clutching his eyes and screaming, "I'm blind." First thing I thought of was an ambulance. Then you...
Why didn't you think of me 10 years ago?
It's not fair, Paul.
Was it fair to turn your back on me and then to marry a man almost twice your age?
Paul, please, why bring up ancient history?
It isn't ancient history to me. I've never forgotten you.
Paul, about Stephen's eyes.
What about them?
I have a feeling that you weren't telling him the truth.
You're right.
Oh, you mean he's not going to regain his sight? He's going to be blind? Oh, Paul.
You don't expect me to be terribly concerned, do you, Valerie? After all, he did take you away from me.
Don't be vindictive, Paul. It wasn't Stephen's fault. He didn't even know of your existence.
And you never told him that we were on the point of being married?
No, never.
It's rather ironic that we should meet again at the bedside of my rival, your husband, a man who may forever walk in darkness.
Don't say that, Paul. It's horrible.
But unfortunately true. A moment ago, you told me not to be vindictive. I'm not, really. But if I were, I could have my fill of vengeance if I told him about us. And then told him that he'll be blind forever.
You wouldn't, Paul.
Or I might take another form of revenge. I could tell you that an operation is called for. A very delicate operation.
Are you trying to say that there might be a chance?
Yes. But supposing I refuse to perform the operation?
Paul, you're joking. You can't mean that.
Perhaps not. But you call me vindictive. Suppose I operate and my scalpel slips.
What if he dies?
That would be murder. You're not a murderer, Paul. You wouldn't risk your professional reputation. Why must you torment me this way?
You really love him, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Then forget the things that I've been saying. I want you to think of me as a friend. I want you to trust me.
I do trust you, Paul.
Thank you. Now as to the possibility of surgery. Here is the situation. The transparent film over your husband's eyes, the corneas, were burned and torn by the explosion. They've been so damaged that blindness will result, even though the eyes heal.
But you think an operation would cure that?
Possibly, although it's a very delicate thought. The injured cornea must be peeled away and replaced by a fresh, healthy one.
Where can you get healthy corneas?
From the eyes of the dead.
Oh.
It isn't quite as horrible as it sounds, Valerie. You know, dying people often will their eyes for just this purpose. We maintain what we call a corneal bank. It's much the same as a blood bank, only that there's this difference. Corneal tissue can't be stored more than 48 hours. It must be fresh, or it's no good.
You have some available in the bank?
No, that's the trouble. I'm afraid we haven't.
But there's got to be some, Paul.
I don't know where, Valerie. Unless...
Unless what?
I was just thinking. Last night, one of the interns asked me to look at a charity case that puzzled him. The patient is a Hindu or a Persian named Chandra. He lives in a dirty little shack near the waterfront.
Yes, Paul.
I stopped by and examined him. I found him in incurable condition. There's no way to save him. He won't live more than a day or two. But his eyes are healthy.
You mean you think he might...
I don't know. You'd have to have his consent, of course.
Take me to him, Paul. I'm sure I can make him understand.
Oh, it may not be so easy, Valerie. He's a strange person. A mystic and a spiritualist.
Let me try. Just take me to him.
All right. We can go there now. Doesn't the doctor sound familiar to you? Huh? That's right. It's Boris Karloff, up to his old tricks. I think it might amuse you to be on hand for our next performance, when we present Mr. Karloff and Creeps by Night. This is Peter Lorre closing the doors of the Mystery Playhouse. Good night. Sleep tight.
This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please. The Mutual Broadcasting System presents Quiet, Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper, which features Ernest Chappell. Quiet, Please for tonight is called 13 and 8. don't remember when was the first time I seen him, I don't think. When was the fire at the Harbor Hotel? Last August, wasn't it? When the fellow jumped out the window, lit on the streetcar, got carried 3 blocks in his night shirt? Yeah, last August. I guess that was the first time. I've seen him a lot of times since then. Well, I never thought much about it the first time. Me and this kid Buzz, we was covering the fire. You know how it is when the hotel gets on a fire in the middle of the night. It could be a big story. You see the shot of a guy doing a swan dive out the 20th story and get one of them prizes. Only the Harbor Hotel is only 3 stories high, and this guy landed on a streetcar, and all he got was a fractured clavicle, wherever that is. When I get the pictures, only no prize. I'll tell you about it, see? There's about 12, 15 photographers there from different papers, and a lot of reporters and cops and firemen and things. Too many of the bubblegum kids with their box cameras getting in everybody's way, and once in a while getting stood on their heads in the gutter by working stiffs like me. All of a sudden, this Buzz, he hollers, "Hey, look at the guy in the window." And I look, and so does everybody else. And everybody has got his camera aimed at the guy, and this citizen steps right in front of me. Well, you know what is a lens louse? We get them all the time. They're citizens, they want to crawl into a picture a news photographer's making, and so they get their pussies in the paper. And they're by the millions, brother, by the millions. So we got a kind of yell we yell sometimes when we see a lens louse lousing up a picture. To warn off the other guys, see? We holler 13 and 8. Then everybody is onto his guard, see, and the lens louse thinks that a prayer. So I holler 13 and 8. And all the other photographers, they look around, and just then the fella jumps out the window, and I'm the only guy looking, and I bang the shutter. Well, I figure the lens louse was right in the middle of the picture. He was googling into my lens. But maybe I also got the fella jumping out from the window into the background, and we could rout out the lens louse and just have a shot of the guy flying through the air with a greatness of ease. Well, up runs Biggie Wallenstein from the press, and R.A. Parks, and Lee Nittinger, all hollering and waving their cameras because they missed the picture on account I hollered 13 and 8. And I said, listen, I'm just trying to be a nice guy and a comrade. I missed the picture too, don't I? And they say, there wasn't nobody. And I say, what do you mean, your adjective? And they say, there wasn't nobody, and I was just trying to draw him off the picture. I say, there was too. He was a guy, wasn't there, Buzz? And this Buzz, he looks kind of funny, and he said, sure there was. And then it's Biggie Wallenstein, he said that this was the old days we take the plate away from you and bust it. I said, well, it's film, and you can't bust film. Then I say, and besides, this is the new days, and you lay off, and maybe I'll take your face and bust it. Then they swore at me, and the fire was out. So, Buzz and me, we went back to the office. So, we go in the darkroom, and I cook the film. Sure enough, I got a sensational shot of the guy skimming out of the window, and there ain't no sign of the fella I seen in front of me, the lens louse. So I say, hey, Buzz, that's funny. Buzz says, listen, Rocco, he says, listen, you know there wasn't nobody there. Then he laughs and says, hey, that was a pretty cute trick. Throwing off them other fellas like that, Rocco. So what am I, crazy or something? I say there was a guy there, or else I wouldn't have hollered 13 and 8. And I got a $15 bonus check. Yeah, but just the same, I'll holler 13 and 8 again if I see a fella googling into my lens. Well, fine. 2 more times I've seen a guy. You ever know how it is you see a guy and you don't see him? And he looks like somebody you know. Or maybe it's because you see him every once in a while and you get to recognize him like. Well, that's with this guy. I only get to see him, see, looking through the wires thing on my camera with one eye, and I got nearsightedness in that eye a little bit. But up he pops right in front of the mayor one day while he is saying welcome to some ambassadors or something in his plug hat. And it's very quiet, and I holler out, 13 and 8. And the mayor jumps and his plug hat falls off. Then I shoot just as him and one of the ambassadors bumps their heads together, reaches for it. And oh boy, I have got another $15 bonus. On account of we don't like the mayor, see? And at the next guild, Biggie Wallenstein, he prefers up charges against me. He says Brother Rocco Carcioli is guilty of conduct unbecoming. And if Buzz didn't testify for me, I'd be thrown out of the guild or something. All I'm doing is trying to be a good guy. Yeah. Well, now I'll tell you about the third time. The time I got the raise. This fella, this big-time Charlie with the pinball machines, you see, he was bit by the dust. Well, they have put the finger on him, but big, and the judge says how he's to spend the next 40 years making little ones out of big ones or whatever they do down at Joliet. So it's the day when they're going to shove him in a car and take him down Highway 66 to Joliet and stuff him in the pokey. All the papers have got the guards around to make the farewell shot to the takeoff. He's been in the big can out on California Avenue. We're standing around outside waiting for the party to come out. This here Biggie Wallenstein is standing alongside me.
You're going to have a 13-8 on it this time, Rocco. I'm going to shove your camera down your throat.
Yeah, you and who else?
Me and the rest of these guys. I'm not kidding, too.
Well, listen, Biggie, I don't holler unless I see somebody.
You never seen anybody the last 2 times.
I did, too.
I'm only trying to do you a favor.
You should do me favors.
I'm just warning you.
Heads up, they're coming.
You keep your nose clean now, Rocco.
Ah, go shoot you. Hey, Chief. Hey, Chief, how about it?
All right, police. Take it back now.
Pull up your hat a little bit, Chief.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold that. One more.
Have him take his hat off, Chief.
Take off your hat, John. How's that?
Okay. Hold it.
Hold it. You got all the names?
Sure, we got the name.
We shoot one while you get in the car, huh? Okay. Come on, John.
And then I see this here character again, this Lancelot. Oh, God, I say to myself, that fellow looks familiar to me. I move around so he ain't in front of me. Yeah, but he moves too. And they're just getting in the car, and somebody else is stepping up close to this big shot. And I yell out, 13-8! Hey! So, that's how I got the only shot of this big shot blowing a hole through the chief of police with a gun that somebody slipped. And you know what? Biggie Wallenstein, if it hadn't have been for his camera, Biggie Wallenstein would have got his head blown right off. Only he was holding up the camera to his face, and all it done is ruin the box and all the other shots he made. Yeah, this Sunflower was standing right in front of me. But he wasn't in the picture when I developed it. There wasn't nobody but the big shot with his gun and the chief of police standing there with a dumb look on his hand and a hole in his chest you could choke a horse with it. And I get a scoop. And a raise. Well, I want to tell you about this kid, Buzz, I was telling you about. We worked together quite a lot. You see, he is fresh out from college, where he was a GI Bill after the war, and Steve Tumble is the city editor, hires Buzz. Well, we're getting kind of famous, see, on account of the scoops I'm getting. And, of course, Buzz is with me, so he's kind of in on it, too. And I figure maybe he's good luck. Besides, he's smart. He was the guy, for instance, that named the streetcar. You know, the killer car. You know, the car that bumped the old lady at Lake Park in 49. Then it run away from the motorman, remember? Hit the automobile with them kids from the university the very next week. Yeah. It was Buzz that thought that up. How'd you think it up, Buzz?
I didn't think it took any special genius to think that one up, Rocco.
Oh, yeah. Sure it did.
Anybody'd think of it.
I wouldn't have.
Well, you're a photographer.
I wished I could think of things.
You're doing all right with your pictures, Rock.
Oh, sure, yes.
Only one thing, though, Rock.
Huh?
One of these days, you're going to wake up with a busted nose.
You and who else?
Nah, not me. I mean that 13-8 stuff.
What about it?
Well, it's been a great gag. But one of these days, you're going to pull it once too often. Some of your valued colleagues will put the arm on you.
Well, listen, I ain't kidding, Bud.
You're not kidding me.
No, there is a guy.
You mean this is the same guy? You know it's a gag.
No, it ain't. I pretty near can recognize him.
Well, how come I've never seen him?
Ain't you seen him? You said you did.
I'm your pal, Rocco.
Listen, Bud, cross my heart, I hope you die. There is a guy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he follows me around.
Little man with a green coat.
No green coat, but he's a real guy.
Well, how come he never appears in any of those pictures?
Me.
Don't kid me, Rocco. I wouldn't kid the other guys either if I were you. I think they're getting tired of it.
I tell you, I ain't kidding nobody, Bud.
Okay, Rock. But don't come to me for sympathy when they gang up on you.
They ain't gonna gang up on anybody.
Telephone for you, Rocco.
Okay. Hello. Hello, Mr. Tumble. No, sir, I was just going in the darkroom to develop it. Yes, sir, I sure do need a new camera. Hey, it's right here, what's left of it. Oh, no, I got the holder out and the film's all right. I think. I think I got a good shot. Sure. Oh, sure. Well, I never seen you hit me, but I think I know who it was. Ziggy Wallenstein. Yeah, sure, from behind me. And I'm pretty sure it was Ori Fox on the car that jumped on my camera. I was laying down. Well, I just seen footprints going up and down on my camera right in front of my nose. Yes, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Nothing. Why, sure, that was kind of a reflection. Reflection, like automatic. I seen this fella, he stepped in front of me. Then automatic, I say 13 and 8. Then boom, I'm dead. Huh? Oh, well, it was a beat-up old camera anyway. Okay, right away. Yes, sir. All righty.
What's the matter, Rocco? Can you get work over?
Shut up. Who's in the dark room?
Nobody.
Anybody in there? I guess not.
Hiya, Rocco. Where'd you get the black eye?
Hiya, Buzz.
Where'd you get it?
Come on in the dark room with me.
Okay. Got another scoop?
Lock it. Maybe I have.
Who smacked you?
Biggie, I think. Where's the suit? Oh, here.
You say it again?
Say what? Yeah, set the timer there.
13 and 8.
Yes. I seen them again. They're digging a hole in the river. How's the time?
You can't see in the dark. You mean the tunnel?
Yeah, this fella got a taxi or whatever it is, and they're hauling him up with a bullet.
Police?
Yeah, and my friend the Lenslow steps in front of me, and I just say it, and pop, I get a cloud in the mouth. Yeah, they fall down, and I press the thing as I fall down. The rope breaks on the bullet, and the guy falls back in the drink. And they jump on my camera.
You mean you got a shot of the man falling, Rocco?
Why, I did if that character ain't smeared all over the film. There. It's cooked enough. You can get it in the hypo. The wrench it first. I hope there's hypo.
I turn on the white light?
A minute. Okay. Oh, boy.
Hey, look at that. Fine, Rocco. Terrific. Wait a minute.
Hey, me, tell you what.
It's your guy.
What guy?
Your lens lock that was standing in front of you.
Yeah. Hey, look here. Now, wait till I get the front of the light. You see? Look here.
I don't see.
See? There's his head, see?
Huh?
You see his hat? See? There's an arm, see?
Yeah, but
he's there. You pay me.
He's there, all right. But why do you suppose you can see right through him?
Well, you know what? I took this here negative over to Kinsey Grill one night where I knowed I'd meet Dickie Wallenstein, and I walked in with it. Him and Ori Fox is getting at a table organizing some beers. I just walk over and sit down. I says, look, I want to show you something. I ain't mad, see. I just want to prove something. I just want to prove I never hollered 13 and 8 for nothing. I want you to see this here, I said. Well, see what happens when you're the right guy? By 11 o'clock, I'm full of free beer. The Biggie Wallenstein offers to leave me hit him in the nose. And Ori Parks is also going over to the office and getting his camera so I can jump on it. I mean, they're sorry. And the only one thing that bothers none of us is why is the guy so you can see through him. And then Biggie Wallenstein putting his scared the beer out of me.
Maybe the guy is a ghost, Rocco.
Well, you know what? I am out on the thing with Buzz the next afternoon. Who is there also? The Biggie Wallenstein. He gives me a big hello. I give him one. And we're pals, see? And we are standing alongside each other, lining up his shop. He borrows a flash bulb from me, just to show we're brothers and things. Then he grins at me and he says, now don't holler, Rocco. And I say, why should I holler? There ain't anybody here but us chickens. And he laughs. And so we line up our shots so they won't be too much to liking. It's a shot of a coal shed where they found $34,000 in $20 bills. And I'm squinting my bum eyes through the wire thing, and all of a sudden, 13 and 8! And I pretty near dropped my camera as I bust a stand and high jump right. And listen, there wasn't anybody there at all. Nobody but me and Biggie.
I seen him, I tell you, Rocco. I just too seen him.
You're crazy.
He was standing right there in front of us both.
Well, where'd he go then?
I don't know.
Listen, Bud, you wouldn't be pulling a gag on your pal, would you?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I seen him, Rocco.
Just because you think I pulled a gag on you a couple of times?
Oh, so it was a gag, huh?
Listen, you
I knew you was pulling a
I'll
gag.
bust your neck
I'll
off.
smack you down.
Well, now I am back at the shop with another busted camera and a loose tooth someplace. Also, I got no picture, and I feel awful.
Hey, Rocco. Telephone.
Shut up. Yeah? Huh? Get away from there. I ain't talking to you. Now, listen, Becky. You what? You did. You have? You are? Holy. Yes. You know what? He's got a picture of that guy on his film.
And you can see right through him. Hey, Rocco.
Yeah, what do you want?
Come on.
Oh, Buzz. Hey, what's cooking?
Killer car did it again.
Huh?
The killer car. Oh, the street car. Ran off the tracks on the south side and killed the mailman. Come on, Trumbull wants pictures.
Oh, all right. Here we go again.
Come on.
He wants pictures of it now for the fun's all over.
Come on. He gave me taxi money.
Oh, well, in that case, if we ride, Nothing very much. Big car blocking the street, his nose up on the sidewalk. Didn't bother it a bit. I got me 4 or 5 shots the art department could paint up with dotted lines and X's and stuff. And Buzz, he got a lot of stuff from the people that seen it. Then pretty soon Biggie Wallenstein come up. Buzz is listening to the barber tell how he was giving some old guy a shampoo, and he heard bungle, 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 and the mailman comes sailing through the window scattering poster cards all over the shop. And I'm sitting on the curb drinking a bottle of ale and writing down names.
Got any good shots, Rocco?
Yeah, regular stuff.
Hey, that picture.
I don't want to talk about it.
Leave me show it to you.
No.
Yeah. Look. I made a print.
Listen, Biggie. What do you suppose this is?
I don't know, but it scares me.
Then Did you see anybody here?
No.
You think you and me is nuts?
You know what? I wouldn't take no bets on it, Rock.
What'd they say over the paper?
I told him it was a double exposure.
Wasn't, though.
You know it wasn't. Hey, do you think we're haunted?
I wouldn't bet on that either.
Hey, look. What? He's a lot cleaner in your picture. I noticed it. Can't quite see his push, though. No. But there's something awful familiar about him.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Put it away, quick.
What's that?
Get it
closer to the front of the car, will you, with the number and everything?
What for?
I want it.
Ah!
Trumbull wants it, too.
Oh, well.
Oh, hi, Biggie. Hi, Bud. How's it? All right. Hurry up, Rock. I want to get back. You find out something I don't know, Bud? I'll meet my girl. Oh.
Start your name!
What?
Hey, Biggie. Come quick. That guy again. He's under the front of the car. He's dead. Come on, Bud.
Telephone, Rocco.
I'm just going in the dark room.
It's Trumbull.
Oh. Yeah, Mr. Trumbull. Yes, sir. Well, Buzz is right there with you, ain't he? He can tell you. No, sir, I ain't developed it yet. No, I know. Well, no, sir, I sure thought there was somebody under that car when I was taking a picture. And when we went back... No, that's right. I couldn't see anybody either, but I'd have sworn it. Well, I don't know. Well, I'm going to cook the film right now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll call you as soon as I get it developed. Yes, sir. Hey, anybody in the dark room? Give me Biggie Wallenstein. Biggie, this is Rocco. Listen. Well, wait. I got to pull myself together. Yes. You know that picture I took when I thought I'd seen that character under the car? Yeah. Yeah, well, in the picture there is a guy under the car, and he's all smacked up. Oh, I'm not kidding. Yeah. Sure. Oh, no, you couldn't see through him this time. Well, listen, Biggie, I'm scared of it. Have you got a shot in front of the car I could borrow? I gotta have it. I never missed a shot in my life. Yeah, I gotta. Send over by Kid, will you? What? No, I can't shoot it from the tumble. No, I can't. I can't show it to Buzz either. What? Listen, Biggie, I burned it up. The film, I burned it up. Well, you can see the guy's face plain in this picture. Yeah. Yeah. It's Buzz.
Rocco. What the hell are you doing down here in the lobby? Where's your camera?
Why, well, what for, Buzz?
Come on, you're going with me. We got a feature assignment, boy.
Well, I ain't got my camera.
Go get it. Hurry up. I'll wait for you. I've been looking all over the place for you.
Yeah, but why
I'll tell you on the way. Go get the camera and a lot of film. I'll film too, Rocco. Hurry. Read it now.
I'll meet you down here?
Yeah, I'll be right here. I gotta make a phone call. Let me talk to Steve Trumbull, Alma. Hello, Mr. Trumbull. This is Buzz. I found Rocco, all right. Yeah. Yeah, I want to thank you again. It's going to be a small story, I promise you. Now we're going right out to the car barns now. The killer car is waiting for us. Come on.
The title of tonight's Quiet Please story is 13 and 8. It is written and directed by Willis Cooper, and the man who spoke to you was Ernest Capello.
And Murray Forbes played Big E. Buzz was played by Ed Raggy. And a variety of voices in the course of a half hour. Reporters, cops, thugs, office boys, etc. were by J. Farrell Mallory. Music for Quiet Please, as usual, is played by Albert Berman. Now a word from our writer-director, Willis Cooper.
You couldn't possibly have recognized yourself or anybody you ever knew living or dead in 13 and 8, because I invented them all myself. And any resemblance to anybody else is an amazing coincidence. Quiet Please next week is called How Beautiful Upon the Mountain.
And so, until next week at the same time, I am quietly yours, Ernest Capello.
Quiet Please comes to you from New York. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
No, stay where you are. Do not break the stillness of this moment. For this is a time of mystery, a time when imagination is free and moves forward swiftly, silently. This is the Haunting Hour. The Uptown Express.
That night didn't begin any differently from any other night. At least it doesn't seem to me that it did. I left work the same as usual, and I hurried because I was late and we were having supper early again so my brother Sid could get to law school on time. I walked down to Broadway and 42nd Street and into the Uptown subway, just the way I always did. I got on, pushed my way in with the crowd. There was an empty seat, and I took it. A girl in front of me was hanging onto the strap. In the other hand, she held the evening paper. I remember looking at it and reading the weather forecast. Fair and somewhat milder, it said. And I thought, tomorrow I can wear my light coat. I was tired. I was awfully tired. I leaned my head back for a minute and closed my eyes. And then...
Tired, baby?
I sat bolt upright.
I'll make you some coffee when we get home. That'll fix you up.
What was he talking about? When we get home. I looked at him. There was something I was trying desperately to remember. But I couldn't. He was in his early 30s, dark and very good looking. But his eyes were hard and his lips were drawn back into a tight little smile. The hand clinging to my arm was large and powerful. The girl in front of me was still holding onto the strap with that paper clutched tightly in one hand. He leaned forward a little so he could see it better.
Cloudy with probable thunder showers. Now, wouldn't you think we've had enough rain for 1 week?
Rain? But the paper had said fair. Fair and somewhat milder. I looked at it again myself. And he was right. Then I knew I was really frightened. The date on that paper was February 21st, 1950. Everything seemed to blur before my eyes for a minute, and I felt a little sick. I looked down and saw a wedding band on my left hand. A simple gold wedding band that hadn't been there 5 minutes before. It was almost as if I half expected to see it there. If the date on that paper was right, if this really were 1950... then something told me that this man, this stranger sitting beside me, was my husband. And somewhere, somehow, on that Uptown Express, I'd lost 5 years of my life.
Come on, Lindy. We get off here.
We walked up the stairs and out into the street. It was raining. It hadn't been raining before.
We'll have to make a run for it. It's raining pretty hard.
We started to run down a long, dark street I'd never seen before. Then we turned into a narrow entrance into a dingy apartment building. We shut the rain outside, and we were alone.
Never mind your key. I have mine right here. Oh, wait a minute. I think there's some mail.
I looked at the name on the box. Vincent. Mr. and Mrs. John Vincent. Johnny and Linda Vincent. That was us.
Oh, this is rich. Look what it is. A political circular. Sidney Damon for district attorney. Fearless, courageous. That's a laugh, sending it to us.
Sid? For district attorney? My brother, Sidney?
Yes, and it don't sound much better than it smells. Not for my money.
But...
Come on. It's cold down here. Let's get upstairs.
We climbed the stairs to the second floor to a small apartment way in the back. I kept thinking of Sid. Less than an hour ago, he was going to City College nights to study law. And now in my hand was a circular that said he was running for district attorney. But it wasn't an hour ago. That was in 1945. 5 years ago. This was 1950.
There. Turn on the light. It's near you.
I felt along the wall and found the switch.
That's better. It's cold in this dump. Never any heat when we need it. Did you speak to that lousy janitor yet? You said you were going to.
I will, Johnny.
Oh, I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean to snap at you. It's just that business of your smart aleck brother running for DA. I don't like it.
Why, Johnny? Why don't you like it?
Oh, cut it. Don't ask silly questions. Come here and kiss me instead.
Johnny, I...
What's the matter?
Nothing.
Well, come here, then. You know what? Your hair's all wet and your mascara's run a little around the edges. You look awful, honey. But to me, you're still beautiful.
Please, Johnny, don't kiss me anymore.
What's the idea?
I'm cold. I'm wet. I'll be all right.
Sure. I understand. Go in and change and I'll fix you something hot.
I went into the bedroom. On the bureau was a picture of the two of us. Me, Linda Damon, and this man I'd never seen before. I picked it up. Across the front of it was written, Atlantic City, September 1946. I looked at it for a few minutes, then I put it back on the bureau and walked over to the closet. On one side were his clothes, and on the other, what I supposed were my things. I found a light blue house dress and changed into it quickly. It fit perfectly.
Ready, Lindy? Come and get it.
In a minute.
Here.
Oh, thanks. Aren't you going to put on some dry clothes?
No, I'm okay. I'll hold out your cup. And one for me. Well, what do we drink to? Even if it's only coffee, we have to drink to something.
Well, what we always drink to, Johnny.
All right, darling. You want to make the toast, or shall I?
You make it.
Here goes, then. To our house. The one with the front porch, the backyard, and the attic. Okay?
Okay.
Do you think we'll ever have it?
Have what, Johnny?
That house. All my life I remember living in little box flats with walls so paper thin you could hear the guy next door yelling at his old lady or her nagging at him. Just as if there weren't enough of that stuff in your own place. And the hallways always full with dirty little kids with their faces needing washing and their eyes too old for the rest of them. And the garbage in big, ugly cans in front of the buildings when it was so hot you could hardly breathe.
Johnny.
I guess maybe you don't understand.
Is that why you want the house, Johnny?
Sure. Imagine, Lindy, a house. Not a flat, not a couple of caged-in little rooms, but a big house with a front porch and a backyard and an attic. All mine. All ours, Lindy. Oh, Lindy, do you love me?
Oh, yes, Johnny. I do love you very much.
Hey, what got me started?
I did. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be. Don't ever be sorry for anything. Oh, it couldn't be bad if it comes from you because you're good, Lindy. I'm not, and I know it. Look what I'm doing to you, making you live in a hole like this, not a decent dress to your name.
I don't care, Johnny.
Oh, but you'll see. It's going to be different. Maybe sooner than you expect. How would you like to move? Out into the country, to our house. Well, I wasn't going to tell you until everything was set, but here, start on this. Go out tomorrow and buy yourself some clothes. You know, real high-class stuff.
Johnny, all that money.
And plenty more where that came from.
But I don't...
I'll get it. Stay where you are. Yeah? What is it, Charlie? Who? Oh, he was. Well, what did he want? Yeah? Well, just lay low until I get in touch with you. I'll think of something. So long.
Who was that?
Just a friend of mine, business acquaintance. You wouldn't know him.
Oh.
I'm telling you, it was nothing important.
I didn't say anything.
Well, don't, and stop looking as though I just finished beating you.
Don't shout, Johnny.
Well, I didn't mean it, baby. My nerves are on edge, that's all. I wonder if it stopped raining.
Did it?
It let up a little, maybe. Not much.
Why are you standing at the window? Are you expecting someone?
What do you mean by that? Who should I be expecting? You've been talking to your brother, haven't you? You've been seeing him again.
Johnny, you're hurting me.
I told you to keep away from that family of yours, didn't I? If I'm not good enough for him, that's just too bad.
Johnny, my arm.
Tell me the truth. Have you seen Sid? What's he been telling you? It's a lie, but you believe me, don't you?
I don't know what you're talking about. Please, Johnny, you're hurting me.
Darling, forgive me. Oh, Lindy, you've got to promise me you'll stay with me, no matter what.
What is it, Johnny? What have you done?
Oh, I'm in an awful mess. I'm in deeper than I've ever been in my life. This time I'm afraid.
Will you tell me? Maybe I can help you. I'm your wife.
Oh, I don't deserve you. I don't deserve ever to have met you.
Johnny.
What?
Tell me. Tell me again how we met. I like to hear it.
You're just like a little kid, aren't you? Just a funny little kid.
Tell me.
Okay. It was February 21st, 1945. 5 years ago.
Yes?
And there you were. And I saw you.
Where, Johnny?
On the subway. On the Uptown Express. What's the matter?
Nothing. I have a little headache, that's all. Go on.
You're sure you're all right?
Yes, I'm all right. Go ahead.
When I saw you and I said to myself, that brother is for me. Mm-hmm. Then I made up my mind I was going to meet you.
And then what did you do?
I said, pardon me, miss, am I on the right train for 86th Street?
And what did I say?
You said, no, you'll have to change it to the local at 72nd. Then we started to talk.
Just as easy as that?
Just as easy as that. I think you wanted to meet me, too. Who's that?
Oh, I don't know. I'll open it.
Linda.
What?
Stay where you are. Don't answer that. Who is it?
Johnny, what are you doing with that gun?
Who is it?
Me, Sidney.
Wait a minute. Your big shot brother.
Sid?
Yeah. I guess I won't need this gun. Here, put it on the table.
Sid.
Listen to me carefully. I was with you last Monday night. That's all you know. That's your story, and you'd better stick to it. Remember.
Life is filled with mystery, and it was a strange afternoon when Linda Damon boarded the Uptown Express. For without warning, time jumped ahead, and the newspaper datelines read February 21st, 1950. Then she heard the man sitting next to her say,
"Come on, Lindy, we get off here."
He was her husband, and his name was Johnny. Mystified, afraid to question, Linda followed him home. Johnny spoke of how they had met 5 years before on the Uptown Express, and Linda listened. Then came a knock on the door. Johnny reached for his gun. The newcomer was Sid, Linda's brother, a candidate for the office of district attorney. Johnny turned to Linda and said,
"Listen, Linda, carefully. I was with you last Monday night. That's all you know. That's your story, and you'd better stick to it. Remember." Yeah, just a minute.
Hello, Linda.
Sid.
What do you want, Damon?
It's so good to see you, Sid. How's Mom?
You've got kind of a nerve asking that, haven't you?
Oh, please, Sid, I don't understand.
Forget it, baby. Let him speak his piece and get out. What's on your mind, Mr. District Attorney?
You're a little premature, but thanks anyway.
Come on into the living room, Sid. Here, let me take your coat. It's wet.
Linda, he'll go into that living room over my dead body.
Which is just the way I'd like it, Vincent.
Why, you were...
Johnny! Sid! What's the matter? What is it?
Linda, haven't you had enough yet? Why don't you come home where you belong? Mom's worse. Every day since you left, she gets worse. Doesn't it mean anything to you that you're killing her?
Mom?
What are you trying to do? Wring blood out of her? Leave her alone.
Don't you care, Linda? What's he done to you?
Leave her alone. That's what you came here to say. You said it. Now get out.
That's not quite all, Vincent.
No? Well, spill it then.
Last Monday night, a man by the name of Bucky Stevens was murdered.
So what?
Johnny! Johnny, what's he trying to say?
Be quiet, Lindy. Go on, big shot. What's it to me?
That's just what I wondered, Vincent. Bucky'd been gambling, but I suppose you know the story.
Sorry, I don't know nothing.
No? Too bad you missed it. It's been on all the front pages, too. Maybe you just forgot, Vincent. I'll refresh your memory. Bucky'd been gambling heavily, and he won. He was pretty tight and made a lot of noise about it. Things like that get around fast.
I don't like your story. Maybe it's just the way you tell it.
Oh? I'm sorry. But don't worry, it gets better as it goes along. When Bucky left the club alone with that nice fat wallet, 3 men got into another car and followed him.
Yeah?
See, I told you it got better. Gets better still. They forced his car off the road, took his money, murdered him, and then threw his body in the river.
Johnny!
Then what?
Then nothing. That's all there was to it. The 3 men escaped in their car, and the next morning, Earl Marino and his 2 henchmen were picked up and booked for the murder. The police thought they had a case. As a matter of fact, they still do.
Thanks for the bedtime story. Are you through?
In a minute. You see, Vincent, the police, the DA, everyone was convinced it was Marino and his gang. Everyone except me, that is.
So?
So I said to myself, I wonder where Johnny Vincent was Monday night. Johnny and those 2 playmates of his, Charlie Rossi and Joe Kagan. Just idle curiosity, you understand.
Get to the point. You take too much time.
Okay, I will. I did a little private investigating. And I've got proof that it was you and your pals. I've got enough proof to send the 3 of you to the electric chair.
Sid, don't say that. Why, he couldn't have. Johnny couldn't have.
Why won't you believe me, Linda? I tell you I can prove it. And I intend to. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to the DA with my evidence. And I'm giving you fair warning, it's packed solid. They'll spring Marino and pick you up, Vincent. And the charge will be murder.
You think you're pretty smart, don't you?
No. Just smarter than you, that's all.
Well, don't think you can get away with this.
I know I can.
And if you do, it won't hurt the election any, will it, Damon? Brilliant young prosecuting attorney solves case single-handed. That'll look cute on campaign buttons.
Not bad. But to tell you the truth, I wasn't thinking of that so much. I've been out to get you for a long time for what you've done to Lindy. And this is once you're not going to be able to talk your way out of it.
And just what do you think you've gained by coming here?
I want Linda to be home where she belongs tomorrow, when the police come to get you.
Thanks for the warning.
Oh, you can skip if you're dumb enough. See how far you'll get. By tomorrow night, every paper in the country will have your picture plastered all over the front page.
Johnny's not going anywhere, Sid, and neither am I. He'll stay here and stand trial if he has to, and I'll stand by him. Johnny was with me last Monday night.
Linda, you don't know what you're saying.
Don't I? Well, I'm sorry, but I don't believe you, Sid. Johnny couldn't have murdered anybody.
Nothing I can say will make you change your mind?
No, nothing. Please go, will you?
Sure. Sorry I bothered you. When you need us, we'll still be waiting for you. Come home.
So long, Vincent. See you in court.
Oh, Johnny, my own brother. How could he?
Thanks for trying anyway, baby. But this time he means business.
You don't have to be afraid, Johnny, if you're innocent.
What do you mean, if...
Oh, I didn't mean it that way, Johnny. Believe me.
Oh, you're trying to kid. He's got the goods on me, and I know it.
Johnny, you mean he was right? He was telling the truth? Johnny, did you...
Don't be a little fool. Of course I killed him.
No. Oh, no.
Oh, cut out the dramatics. I've got to think. There must be something.
You murdered him and threw his body in the river?
And where do you think that money came from? Use your head.
But murder? Johnny.
I couldn't help it. He put up a fight and we had to let him have it. I didn't want to kill him. There was nothing else I could do. You know I wouldn't have killed him if I didn't have to. Don't you, Lindy?
I don't know anything anymore. What are you going to do now?
Do? What can I do? He made this investigation on his own. That's what he said, didn't he?
Well, yes, but I...
But he probably hasn't told anyone yet. No one knows but him. At last, or at least that's the chance I've got to take. I can't be any worse off than I am now.
What are you talking about?
He'll never live to turn in that evidence. I'll see to that.
Johnny!
I'll get Charlie and Joe, and we'll make sure he doesn't...
No! No, you can't do that to Sid. I won't let you.
Me or him, Lindy. I don't have to think twice to decide which one I'd rather have it be.
No! Put down that phone. Please, Johnny.
Hello. Mike? Let me speak to Charlie, will you? Is he there? Good.
I said to hang up, Johnny. And I meant it.
Lindy, put that gun back on the table.
I said to hang up.
You won't shoot. Put it down like a good girl. Hello. That you, Charlie? Something's come up. I want you to get Joe and help me on the job. Yeah, right away.
I'm warning you, Johnny.
Meet me as soon as you can over. Meet me at... Oh.
Johnny! Oh, Johnny!
I really didn't think you'd shoot me, Lindy.
I had to. I couldn't help it.
You know, you've got a lot of spunk for a little thing.
Oh, Johnny, I'm sorry.
I thought I told you not to be sorry for anything. Ever. I told you anything you did would be all right, and I meant it.
No.
It wouldn't have ended good, no matter what. I'd just as soon have it this way. Honest, baby. But it wasn't all bad, was it? Some of it was fun. Tell me it was.
Yes, Johnny. Some of it was wonderful.
You know what?
What?
I guess maybe I never was meant to have a house with a front porch, a backyard, and...
Johnny! I don't know how long I sat there, on the floor beside him, holding him in my arms and rocking back and forth as if he were a child. There was blood trickling out of the corners of his mouth, and I wiped it off with my handkerchief. I knew he was dead, but I wiped it off just the same. And I sat there, holding him. Maybe part of those years had been wonderful. Now I'd never know. After a while, I got up, took my purse, and left the apartment. The rain had stopped. I started to walk, found myself running instead, running down that narrow little street. I didn't know where I was going. I just ran. The subway station was at the corner, and I went into that. I thought maybe I'd try and find my way home again, back to Mom and Sid. Then I'd be all right. I tried not to think of Johnny. Johnny lying dead where I'd left him in a little pool of blood. I dropped a nickel in the slot, and a minute later the train came roaring out of the tunnel. I'm sure I didn't know what I was doing. I just got on and sat down. The car was almost empty. I was tired. Tired all over. I leaned back and closed my eyes. When I opened them again, the train was crowded. Crowded with people. And I hadn't remembered stopping to let them on. Suddenly, I wasn't quite so tired anymore. I sat up straight and looked around. A girl in front of me was hanging onto the strap. and in the other hand she held the evening paper. I remember looking at it and reading the weather forecast. Fair and somewhat milder. I held my breath. Was it possible? It took every bit of courage I had to force myself to look at the date. And the date was February 21st, 1945. I can't explain how I felt then. I wanted to laugh, but to cry. I wanted to turn to the stranger sitting beside me and say, "Listen, mister, it was a dream. I just imagined it. I didn't kill anybody. This is still 1945, and I'm going home for supper." I did turn, and then I froze. I froze with such terror as I've never known before and will never know again. For the man sitting next to me was...
Pardon me, miss. Am I on the right train for 86th Street?
Well, no, you'll have to, that is... I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm afraid you'll have to ask someone else. You see, this is my stop, and I'm getting off.
From shadows and stillness, mystery weaves a spell of strangest fascination, charging the mind with doubts and fears. For mystery is a strange companion, a living memory in the haunting hour.